Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto was a sage One Piece. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by UzumakiStyle and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. On a relatively calm day for the Sea of Grand Line, the island of Jaya was experiencing rare peace. Normally, on any given day, you would find dozens of pirate ships anchored at the docks and hundreds of pirates drinking away their time at the island while their log pose reset. And when multiple pirates came together, it was only a matter of time when blood flowed. Thankfully, even lawless scumbags knew better than to harm innocent civilians of the island. What's the point of treasure if you can't spend it? No one knew since when, but Jaya had been a safe haven for pirates and criminals for a long time. Probably because the Navy and the world government didn't bother to come for the small fry this far in Paradise part of Grand Line, they already had their hands full dealing with criminals from the New World. The day was rare because there were only a handful of pirates on the island. So there were no drunken fights, no back alley murders, and relatively small property damage. It wasn't much, but for the natives of the island, all the peace in the world was gathered on Jaya. It seemed like a perfect peaceful day, and the citizens didn't expect anything out of the ordinary to happen. But a sudden appearance of a doorway in space-time certainly counted as out of the ordinary. Grand Line a few miles north of Jaya. A few feet above the turbulent sea, two men stepped out of a circular black space-time portal. They landed on the water and stood on the sea surface, as if it were solid ground. One was wearing a silver-gray vest over black shirt and black pants, a black cape hid a missing left arm, while his hair covered the Rinnegan. He had a serious expression on his face, like he was about to march to battle, or just came from one. The second one, on the other hand, had a cheerful smile on his face, completely opposite to that of his partner. He had orange pants and a long crimson coat with black flames near the edge over a black shirt. A red armband on his left bicep showed the spiral of his clan. He had deep blue eyes and spiky wild blonde hair, a metal forehead protector showed the symbol of his village, and his right arm was completely covered in bandages. "Good luck," the raven-haired man said. "That's all you have to say?" Naruto raised an eyebrow at his friend. "I'm gonna be here for a while, you know." "Whatever. Send one of your toads if you find anything." Sasuke completely ignored his words. He wanted to say a lot more, but doing so would go against his whole vibe, so kept those words to himself. Naruto sighed, yeah. I'll send a report every month, but you'll have to go back to the village to get it." Sasuke didn't say anything for a moment, he just stared at the blonde. He knew it was Naruto's way of making sure he at least visited the village from time to time. Sneaky bastard. Naruto noticed Sasuke staring at him and raised a blonde eyebrow, seemingly reading his friend's mind. "What? You want my toads to wander around the whole continent to find you?" Sasuke looked away, fine. He'd go along with his friend's wishes. "I found that cryptex in Kagaya's palace in that ice dimension we fought in during the war, it gave coordinates of this location. This world looks like it's inhabited, so be careful. Find out what connection this place has with Otsutsuki Kagaya." "Yeah? See you later, Sasuke." Sasuke nodded and turned back to leave. "Just don't burn down this planet while you're here, loser." He waved his hand over shoulder and walked through the space-time portal. His best friend never saw his smile as he left. "Take care, call if you need help," went unsaid. "Well, sensei did say stealth was optional," Naruto said in his mind and got a deep rumbling laugh as a response. "Now then, let's see what connection this world has with Rabbit Granny." Naruto extended his senses in all directions. He sensed half a dozen abnormally large creatures in the sea and about 200 people a few miles to the south. His destination set, Naruto sprinted along the water. It didn't take him long to travel the distance to reach land. It looked like a fairly small island split in almost identical two halves by a bay. Some ships were docked at the port near a town. As he got closer, Naruto got a better look of the layout of the island. There were a bunch of beautiful buildings overlooking the sea, it looked like a resort. Naruto stepped on land and chose a road randomly. The street was fairly busy and a lot of the men looked drunk. There were a few hotels, some shops and a lot of bars. If he had learned anything from watching Pervy Sage, it was that bars and brothels were the best source of information. "People talk when they are happy," Jiraiya used to say. Alcohol had a tendency to loosen up men. Naruto crossed the street and entered a decent-looking building. Across the street, Naruto spotted a decent-looking two-story building called Misty Tavern. It was very crowded with only a couple of empty tables. He chose one on the far end. On his way there, Naruto intentionally bumped into a man and swiped his wallet. He had lots money in Gamachan, but there was little chance they'd accept him here. The poor guy didn't even suspect anything. Naruto chose a seat near a rather loud group so he could eavesdrop on their conversation. True story. None of the cannonballs we fired reached their ship, they came right back at us twice as fast and destroyed our ship instead. Captain sank right before my eyes. One of the guys was saying. It wasn't even a minute since he sat down, and already Naruto heard some very interesting things. None were related to his mission however, but they piqued his curiosity. A waiter came over to him with a glass of water. "What can I get you?" he asked. "Some good sake and whatever's fresh in the kitchen," Naruto replied almost immediately. He wanted to hear more about what the man was talking about. "Alright," the bartender said and left him alone. Naruto once again focused his attention on the conversation going on behind his table. "You're a lucky one to survive, Johnny. That Captain Kid is a vicious one, rumor has it that he leaves a bloody trail wherever he goes. Even his first mate is named Killer. I mean, imagine what he must have to get the name Killer. Wow. Best I got was Slippery Dave when I accidentally slipped on a wet road." Another guy said, prompting a round of raucous laughter. "Yeah, and still no bounty for you, my slippery friend," someone said, promoting more laughter at the expense of their friend. "The Navy has put over 200 million berry on that Captain Kid's head and he's a greenhorn rookie." A third guy added once the laughter had died down and their previous conversation resumed. Their seemingly mundane conversation intrigued Naruto a lot. By the looks of things, the gentlemen next to him were criminals, talking about other criminals. Nothing very useful so far, but things looked promising. Naruto sat there listening to people talk for hours, occasionally joining a random table, buying them drinks and talking about anything and everything. It didn't take him long to realize that each and every one of the customers there were pirates. And the island he was currently on was sort of like a safe haven for them. That surprised him a little. But he decided to keep listening. He spent all the money he stole, and then he stole some more again. Drunk pirates were easy targets. The man didn't realize it, but their casual conversation gave him a lot of information, like there were a lot of pirates in this world and the Navy was responsible for keeping peace. There were these things called devil fruits. So far he didn't get much information about whatever that was, just that it gave the user some amazing abilities. That was enough to ring alarm bell in his head. They sounded like chakra fruits. He wondered if there was a tree here like the god tree Kagaya had. If there was, then it was almost certain that the fruits came from the Otsutsuki. The thought of more Otsutsuki worried him. Rest of the conversations weren't very useful, with just a nugget of information here and there. Naruto sat there for a few hours and then he went to a different bar. Until late in the night, he did nothing but eat, drink and eavesdrop on conversations of random people. When he was properly drunk, Naruto decided to go to sleep for the night. As he laid on a soft feather bed in a hotel room, Naruto went into his psyche plane. Kurama was sleeping with his head resting on his front paws. "How much did you hear?" Naruto asked his partner best friend. "Everything," Kurama answered without even opening his eyes. Naruto walked towards the giant fox, sat down and laid his back against Kurama's finger. "I really hope I don't find out anything about that rabbit granny here." Kurama opened one eye to look at Naruto, but didn't say anything. Naruto knew him good enough to know what his silence meant, so he continued. "Otsutsuki know of this place, we can tell that much from that weird cylinder Sasuke found." Naruto sighed deeply. "Those fruits give me a bad feeling, Kurama. I don't want people of any world to end up as plant food. I mean, people here are still people and not white Zetsu, so we can tell Rabbit Granny wasn't here, but we don't know what plans she had with this world, or if she had already visited this place for some reason, or was going to come here in the future." Naruto told his friend everything he had on his mind, anything that worried him. Kurama let out a chuckle once Naruto had finished, which sounded like a mild earthquake. "Relax, Naruto, you're worrying too much again. You've been like this ever since the war ended. You don't have to bear the weight of all the world on your shoulders. Whatever it is, we'll take care of it. Take Kakashi's advice, pick up a hobby or something." Naruto laughed a little. "Hey, I have a hobby, you know. I meant something besides trying out new ramen flavors." Kurama had a slightly annoyed expression on his face. "Aw man, you ruled out the best one." "Okay, fine, I'll think of something." After a few moments of silence, Naruto spoke again. "How are the others? It's been a while since I talked to them." "They are all fine. B wanted to know whether you're going to his concert or not." "I shoot him away. He looks I'm gonna miss this one too." Naruto sat there talking to Kurama for a good hour until he fell asleep. For the next week, Naruto spent all his time on gathering as much information as he could. He would create about 20 clones every day and transform them in random people. These clones would drink at bars, visit brothels and walk the streets for hours at a time. At night, Naruto would think about all he had learned during the day. He had asked everyone he met if they knew of a goddess that came from the stars or a divine tree, subtly, of course. So as to not raise any suspicion. But sometimes he just asked bluntly. So far no one had any information on either of them. By the end of the week, he had gathered enough information to know how this world worked. Pirates were scumbags, the world government was in charge of most of the world, and Navy was their strength. He learned of basic geography and read about some important people and big-time pirates and criminals. Birds dropped newspapers and bounty posters for wanted people. From that he created his own bingo book. He read about the many small battles between Whitebeard pirates and Beast pirates in the New World over some territory. Apparently those two were called Emperors of the Sea. And there were 4 in total who ruled their own part of the sea in the New World, which was on the other side of Grand Line. They were supposedly so strong that even the Navy was hesitant to go in their territory to confront them. It wasn't until the 7th day that he heard something that could possibly be a lead for his actual mission. An island in the sky, even the sound of it felt a little Otsutsuki-ish. In a bar, 2 men were talking about how Warlord of the Sea, Doflamingo, made a pirate named Bellamy kill his own first mate. The incident had occurred just a few days prior to his arrival. Apparently it was punishment for bringing shame to the warlord's flag, whatever the hell that meant. According to the men, Bellamy got knocked out in a single punch by Straw Hat Luffy after Bellamy made fun of the Straw Hats for believing an island in the sky could actually exist. When asked around the bar where the incident occurred, the bartender told him that at first Straw Hat Luffy let Bellamy beat him without so much as raising a finger, and later in the night Straw Hat defeated Bellamy. Naruto decided not to think too much about a bar fight between 2 pirates, even though it intrigued him a little. For the whole week he was on the island, Naruto never thought that there were people living in the sky right above his head. Who would? Unless you knew there was an island in sky, you wouldn't even think of such a possibility. Maybe it's like that hidden sky village, Naruto thought. He briefly entered Sage mode and immediately felt the chakra signatures of hundreds of people about 10 km in the sky. Naruto activated his Sage of 6 Paths mode without Kurama's chakra and flew towards the clouds. As he went higher, the people, buildings and then the island itself grew smaller and smaller until Jaya was nothing but a green speck on a vast blue sea. It wasn't long until he passed through a thick white cloud filled with all kinds weird-looking flat fishes like kite, huge octopus and weird shellfishes of all colors. Naruto was surprised to see creatures that you would normally expect to see in the oceans below, living in the cloud so high. Maybe it's common in this world, he shrugged. As he came out of the cloud, the first thing Naruto saw was the huge forest. Sky Island was nothing like what he imagined. He had seen a city in the sky before and thought that maybe it was something like that. Naruto had a vague picture in his mind of how it would look like, but he didn't think it would be an actual landmass on the clouds, complete with forest and animals and a giant beanstalk. It was beautiful. Unbelievable, but beautiful. This world was turning out to be more interesting than he first thought. First things first, let's see what kind of people live here, Naruto thought and entered the forest. He turned off his Sage of 6 Paths mode and headed straight towards where most people were gathered together. He climbed a tree and started to jump from branch to branch. On his way he saw a lot of wildlife, a large pack of wolves, some snow-white foxes, large insects and huge, colorful and weird-looking birds. There were even some roller coaster-like clouds that went throughout the forest. It reminded him of Forest of Death back home, except the trees here were a lot bigger and wildlife even more untamed. After a few miles of tree hopping, Naruto arrived on the edge of town. There were a lot of tents and huts, and most of the people were busy building new homes. Either they just moved here from somewhere or their original homes got destroyed somehow, he thought. The layout of the town was a simple one, nice average-sized homes built at the edge of large ruins of what appeared to be an ancient city. Almost every house had some form of totem pole in front of it. There were some torches burning atop crossed spears as well. You would think of it just another normal town that happens to be 10 km up in the sky, but even then there were some features about this place that stood out. The first thing that struck his notice and dragged his attention like magnet were wings. Not just any wings, pretty white wings that were on the backs of humans, instead of any sort of bird as you would normally expect. Holy crap, are they real? Was his eloquent thought. And second, at the center of the soon-to-be village, there was a giant beanstalk that was cut down, and there was a huge golden bell near it. Not just huge, the bell was humongous. To the point that people that were near it looked tiny. The bell was hung above a platform, supported by huge pillars. The pillars, the platform the pillars rose out of and even the stairs that led onto the platform appeared to be completely made out of gold. Man, that's a lot of gold. He had never seen so much gold in his life. And certainly not in one place like this. It was amazing. Back in town, men and women were busy with construction and some children were playing on a giant blue snake, using its back as a slide. A giant snake was a familiar sight for him back home, so he wasn't that surprised. But seeing it behave so friendly was unusual to say the least. The snakes he met so far were total jerks. One of the bastards even ate him. He wondered if the snake could talk. Snake didn't seem to mind in the slightest bit that children playing on its back and was actually smiling. Complete opposite to the giant snakes he was used to seeing. Just then, at the edge of his senses, Naruto felt 3 people approach him from behind, but he made no effort to move or hide. He simply waited for them as he watched the people work. The 3 men were cautious in their approach, not making any sudden moves. Clearly they were well trained. "Hey, you," one of the men said. Naruto turned around to face them. All three men were half naked, wearing nothing but grass skirts and some animal pelts. All of them had a lot of tattoos on their arms, chests and even faces. The one in front looked like he was their leader. He was a tall man with tanned skin and long braided hair that reached his lower back and a tattoo around his left eye and shoulder. He had a huge gun in his hand and a cigarette loosely held in his mouth. The other two were similarly dressed, one had a mohawk while the other had a cap that hid his eyes. "Who are you? What business do you have in our home?" Naruto raised both his hands to show them that he wasn't there to fight. "Please, lower your gun, friend. I mean you no harm. I'm just a traveler that's happened to find this land. It's not every day you see an island in clouds, you know. I thought I might take a look around." Naruto put on his best charming smile. "You're from the Blue Sea?" the man asked. "Yeah, I heard so much about this place that I couldn't help but come here myself. And I gotta say, this place lives up to its reputation as the legendary Sky Island." Naruto tried to flatter them as much as he could. "Definitely the most beautiful island I've ever seen," he added, which was the truth. It was the most beautiful island he had ever seen. The turtle island of Kumo came close, but island on the clouds beats island on the back of a giant turtle any day of the week. The hat guy in the back looked visibly relaxed when Naruto said that, so the sound of the bell reached the Blue Sea. He asked with some happiness clear on his face. Of course. People of Jaya said it was the most beautiful sound they had ever heard. He had no idea what he was talking about. But a little white lie won't hurt. It's a dream of many people to one day visit this place. Naruto lowered his hands and took a step forward. When the men didn't stop him or told him against it, Naruto approached them. He put his hand forward for a handshake, but the serious-looking bazooka guy didn't take it, so he lowered it. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I travel around the world writing books about legendary places of the world. For my next book, I am writing about the Sky Island." Naruto grinned at the men. "If you don't mind, I'd love to take a look around. You know, for my book." He offered them his best charming smile. The three men looked at him like he asked them for their kidneys. After a few seconds of what appeared to be some really hard thinking, they lowered their weapons. "You're lucky, Blue Sea Man. If you were here a few days ago we would have killed you first and asked questions later. Count your lucky stars, we've already announced our presence to the world. I doubt you'd have gotten much answers from a corpse. I'd have hated to be here a few days back then, you guys look scary." Naruto laughed as he scratched the back of his head. If they thought him weak and harmless, they might be more cooperative, he thought. "But don't think for a moment that you're free to do what you please while you're here. You'll be watched every second of your stay here. Kamakiri, don't let him out of your sight." The man in the front slung his gun on his back and walked past Naruto, not even acknowledging him. "You got it, Wiper." The one named Kamakiri replied. "Well then, let's go sightseeing." Naruto said out loud and went into the town, Kamakiri in tow. He started walking in the town area. People stopped their work for a moment or two to look at the stranger. Besides that, no one paid him much attention. They were too busy with construction work as they wanted their new town to be completed as soon as possible. "So are you guys some kind of police force or something?" Naruto asked his chaperone, who was walking a step behind him to his left. "Come on, I feel paranoid with you at my heels. Walk by my side, will ya? I promise I won't bite." Kamakiri ignored his words but answered his first question. "Yes, we're Kami's guards. We protect this island in Kami's name." He answered in monotone like he'd rehearsed it beforehand. Kami's guards. So are you guys some kind of badass warrior priests?" Naruto had awe in his voice and stars in his eyes. He watched movies like that. People, monks who are normally peaceful but forced to take arms to defend what they love. Even Princess Koyuki had a movie like that. And like the rest of her movies, it was one of his absolute favorites. In his eyes, anything that has Koyuki in it, be it a movie, play, musical, etc., becomes a masterpiece instantly just by her presence alone. Even now, on a mission so far away from home, he had all the equipment he needed to watch the movies of his favorite actress. "No. We're not priest." Kamakiri's reply came a bit harsher than expected, which Naruto noticed right away. His expression sobered up pretty quickly. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult you or anything. It's just that when you mentioned Kami, I thought that maybe you were a monk or something." "No, it's fine. It's just that only a little while ago, we had to risk our lives against Enel's priests to get our homeland back." The Shandian warrior tried to explain, so it's not exactly a flattering comparison. "Oh okay." They both were now deep into the heart of ruins. There was a small altar of some kind. It had a figure of sun roughly carved into its two sides, and some sort of bird occupied the other two. Naruto traced the carvings with his bandaged fingers and moved forward to the next. "Who were these Enel's priests? And why did they take over your home anyway? You ask a lot of question." Kamakiri clearly must have felt a bit annoyed that the blonde was asking question after question without pause. I mean, it wasn't like he was asking for some forbidden secrets or anything, but still there's only so much a man could talk in a day. Naruto chuckled a little. Yeah, I like to have as much information about a place as I can get my hands on. You know, for my book, it's culture, traditions, history and all the stuff that makes a place unique. Amakiri took a long pause as Naruto moved to take a closer look at various figures carved on the broken building and pillars, occasionally writing and drawing in a small notebook. He seemed like he was searching for something but wasn't finding what he was looking for. Amakiri decided to indulge him. They had already told the whole world where they were the moment that Straw Hat Kid rang the light of Shandora, so someone writing a book about their home was irrelevant at this point. Enel's priests and Enel himself came here from another sky island named Burka about 6 years ago. They had brought with them their army and took down the then Kami Ganfor without much difficulty. Wait, Kami is a real guy. I thought you were talking about Naruto stopped mid-speech when he noticed how annoyed Kamakiri looked at his interruption. Sorry, that was rude, my bad. Please continue. He bowed in apology. The Shandian sighed loudly. Like I was saying, Ganfor was defeated pretty easily, but we didn't care much about it as Ganfor was our enemy too at that time. After Enel took over as Kami, the only thing that changed for us was we had to fight him instead of Ganfor. And so Kamakiri began telling him everything about their struggle for their homeland, how their homeland was thrown in the sky, the history of Shandians with Skypians, Ganfor's attempts at peace, Enel's rule, about how Straw Hat Luffy defeated Enel, and even about Light of Shandora, and how for the first time in 400 years Shandora was at peace. Naruto drank in his every word. Wow. You guys struggled so much. I wish I was here earlier, Naruto told him honestly. He lived to beat up scumbags, and this Enel guy seemed like he could have used a good punch to the face. Who would have thought a place this beautiful has such sad history? Things aren't always as they look. When we were kids, our chief used to tell us, brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. Wise words. Naruto moved towards the largest structure in the ruins, the pyramid-like building that the ruins seemed to have built around. Solid clouds had covered a lot of the area, and the ruins seemed to go deep. So how old is this place anyway? Naruto asked, not taking his eyes away from the carvings. This time he spotted snakes and winged men and even more symbols depicting the sun. They were everywhere. He kept looking for any clues about Otsutsuki. Kakashi-sensei had said that he should look for symbols like the Byakugan, Rinnegan, 10 tails or a horn goddess. So far he wasn't finding anything. Shandora is 1100 years old, Kamakiri told him, and it was destroyed in a great war around 800 to 900 years ago. Naruto whipped his neck so fast it appeared as a blur. Kagaya came to their home about 1,000 years ago, right? So these ruins were of perfect age. If there was any clue about Rabbit Granny in this world, they would definitely be in some ancient place like this that were more than 1,000 years old. He'd have to pay extra close attention to these ruins it seemed. Back at the newly built town, Wiper had wandered back to the bell. After fulfilling his lifelong goal, Wiper wanted nothing more than to keep ringing the light of Shandora. Its sound brought peace of mind to anyone who listened to it. Well, it wasn't like he needed any excuse to ring the bell, everyone loved to hear it anyways. He hoped the sound also reached his ancestor the great warrior Kalgara and his friend Mont Blanc Nolan too. Viper spotted a small crowd had already gathered near the bell, looked like people were going to ring the bell without him. He quickened his pace, even used his skates to get to his destination faster, he didn't want to be left out. An eager grin was on his face, not that anyone could see it. As he got closer and got a clear look at the crowd, his grin faded, replaced by a frown. He didn't recognize those people. There were about 50 of them. First there was that weird blonde kid, and now this. What day was this anyway? Were they hostile? He hoped not, it'd be a shame to have to spill more blood. Wiper reached the bell quickly enough. As soon as his skates touched the ground, the biggest one of them turned to look at him. He was a tall and bulky man, nearly 13 feet in height. He was wearing monk's robes with a necklace made of big red beads, dark scruffy beard, and fire-like tattoos on his arm. But Wiper's attention was quickly snatched by his wings. Birkins. He grit out. The shape of the wings was unmistakable. Where the hell did they even come from? Looks like you know us. I was getting impatient waiting for someone to approach us, the monk said. What are a bunch of Birkins doing here? I was told everyone was wiped out 6 years ago. Wiper eyed the monk's companions who had get-up similar to the big man. Ah, so you know about our sad tragedy as well. That's exactly my reason for coming here. Tell me, where can I find the one that calls himself Kami Enel? The monk's grin didn't lessen a bit even as he spoke. At this point, Wiper was getting a little creeped out by the stranger, not that he'd ever admit that out loud. Probably at the bottom of the ocean. I don't know what happened to him after we kicked him out of here. Wiper spoke with some steel in his voice. He probably unconsciously tried to intimidate the creepy monk. That's a shame. And after we suffered so much to get here. He clasped his hands together for a prayer. "Looks like Lord has denied us our justice, my friends," he announced to his crew. "I was wondering something was wrong when Kami Enel didn't attack even after we set foot in his territory. So this guy is an enemy of Enel too." Relief filled Wiper's heart. Not that he was scared or anything, but anyone actively looking to fight that psychopath probably wasn't a pushover, and his body hadn't completely recovered from that fight in the first place. "One more thing," the monk's voice snapped him out of his thoughts. "Was it you who took him down?" "No," Wiper answered. "It was probably more helpful to say that he took down Enel, intimidate the stranger ls who clearly knew how strong Enel was, but his warrior's pride wouldn't let him lie about something like that. It was Straw Hat Luffy." The monk nodded in understanding and led his crew to wherever the hell they were going. Wiper remained on edge until the strangers vanished from his sight. Back at the ruins with Naruto. Spacious streets of the ruins of the city were still relatively intact even a millennia after its destruction. There were carved stone statues of people long dead, and symbol of sun was abundant. There was some strange writing on the walls and some stone tablets. Naruto had no idea what it said. "Hey, Kamakiri," Naruto called out. The guy hadn't let him get more than 10 feet away from him so far. "What is it, Uzumaki? Can you tell me what's written here?" "I can't read it," Kamakiri answered with a shrug. "This is your homeland, right? Isn't this your language?" Naruto raised his eyebrow at the man. "Yes, this is our homeland, but this city is more than a millennia old. Knowledge of that language is lost to time. There's only one woman in the whole world who can read the script," Kamakiri answered truthfully. "Who is it? Can I meet her?" He failed to hide eagerness from his voice. "Like a robin. And you can meet her, if you can find her. She's also from Blue Sea. She came here a while ago with her crew." "That's too bad." Naruto let out a sigh. He got up and moved on to the next stone writings. "Do you have any idea where they might have gone next? Her crew, I mean." Kamakiri just shrugged. They kept talking like that for a long time. Naruto would ask something depending on the question Kamakiri would either answer or just shrug in response. Naruto searched the ruins for most of the night, occasionally writing and drawing in his notebook. Kamakiri had long since dozed off. He probably thought Naruto was harmless at this point. When he was finished, Naruto decided to call it a night as well. He found a nice fluffy island cloud and plopped down on it. He took out his can of instant ramen and poured boiling water in it out of thin air. And quick as that, his dinner was ready. After eating the best food in existence, Naruto went to sleep as well. It would be morning soon enough, he would be on way then. After sleeping a couple of hours, Naruto woke to the sound of strange birds of the jungle. He rubbed the sleep from his eyes and looked around him. The east horizon was tinged pink, and the faint noise of denizens of the sky reached his ears. After a quick breakfast of instant ramen, he took all the ink prints and notes he made so far and put them in a single sealing scroll. He took out a paper and pen to write a letter. When that was done, he bit his thumb and went through the practiced hand signs: boar, dog, bird, monkey, ram, and slammed his hand on the ground. A summoning matrix appeared, followed by a small puff of white smoke. When it cleared, a small crimson toad with blue markings around his eyes stood before him. He had a kanji for gold on his back, and a pair of goggles hung loose from his neck. "Hey Kasuke, what's up?" Naruto greeted his summons with a smile. "Big brother Naruto." Kasuke grinned at him. "Listen, I need you to take this scroll to Kakashi-sensei as soon as possible, okay? Give him this letter as well, tell him to ask Shiho if she can make sense of the symbols." Naruto handed over the scroll and the letter. Kasuke sealed them away in a storage seal on his right arm. "I'll be there in no time, boss." "And one more thing before you go," Naruto said before the toad could go back. "If sensei has any message for me, tell him to leave it with you. I'll summon you in a week." "You got it, big brother." Kasuke saluted and vanished in a puff of smoke. Kasuke was one of the fastest toads of Mount Myaboku and had high stamina. When he was given a job, it was as good as done. After emptying a couple more ramen cups, Naruto decided to take a closer look at that giant golden bell, and then he'd go back down. He began his trek towards the town. He might have walked only a few yards when he heard the unmistakable sounds of explosions coming from the direction of the town. Naruto broke into a sprint. As he wasn't very far from the village to begin with, it didn't take him long to reach the scene where a bunch of people were fighting and others were hurrying to get to a safe place. The 3 men he met yesterday, along with about 20 others, were fighting a group of people who were all wearing monk's robes near the golden bell. The men in robes seemed to have the upper hand, but not by much, thanks to a huge man carrying a large pillar who was constantly grinning. Naruto assumed him to be the leader of the group. He was almost twice as tall as Naruto. The man was wearing a necklace of red beads. He had a scruffy beard, white wings on his back, and a saffron robe. There were a lot of men lying unconscious on the ground, and more were still fighting. The 3 men from yesterday were attacking the big guy together with little success. Nearby, an old man in a knight's armor was fighting the men in robes with a lance. He was riding a weird-looking horse with wings. From a quick glance Naruto could see that both sides were using weapons he'd never seen before, a bazooka that fired laser-like blue flames, small shells that absorbed attacks and fired them back, boots that let them glide on the surface, spears that burned red hot. Amidst all this, Naruto's attention was again drawn to the big man with the pillar. Of the three that were fighting him, only the bazooka guy was left standing. Naruto used a quick body flicker to appear a little distance away from the two. Now that he was close enough, he could see that Wiper had taken a lot of damage and was barely standing, while the big guy was just grinning like a madman. It took a moment for both of them to notice him. "You need some help?" Naruto asked. Before Wiper could say anything, the big man spoke. "And who might you be? You don't look like a sky person." His grin seemed like it was carved on his face. "Me? I'm just a traveler. These people were nice enough to let me stay here. Now if you don't mind, can you stop beating them?" Naruto waited for the man to introduce himself. Which he did. "I'm Urauge. I don't want to beat them, I just want that bell. If they let me have it I'll leave in peace." The man replied in even tone. "Over my dead body," Wiper huffed and readied his bazooka once again. Like hell he was gonna let someone just take the light of Shandora. Urauge lifted his pillar high up to strike the man. "Hey." Naruto said a little louder to get their attention, "that bell is very important to these people. What are you going to do with it anyway?" He knew full well why someone would want this much gold, but the man was dressed like a monk, so maybe he could appeal to his good heart. "I need the gold to conquer the blue sea." Urauge grinned and swung the pillar at Wiper. So much for appealing to his good heart. The man was only dressed like a monk, underneath that he was just another scumbag pirate. Well, that simplified things. Urauge turned his attention once more to the Shandian warrior near him, swinging his large pillar with such speed that defied its size. Wiper jumped out of range with the help of his skates. In a burst speed that defied his bulky appearance, Urauge caught up with Wiper easily. The big man swung the huge pillar as easy as one would swing a paper fan. Wiper ducked first blow, second came downward for his head, but he managed to avoid it by stepping out of the way, barely. The third time however, Wiper's luck ran out, the pillar connected with his stomach and Wiper was slammed hard into the ground with enough force to create a small crater. Urauge lifted the pillar high in the air and brought it down on the barely conscious Wiper with full force. Another hit and the Shandian was as good as dead. Naruto quickly used a substitution jutsu to trade places with the injured Shandian, who was now a safe distance away from the action, while Naruto stood in the crater as the pillar came to meet him. He curled his bandaged palm into a fist and punched the stone pillar just as it came above his head. With a loud crack, the stone pillar shattered in 1,000 small pebbles. The sound reached nearby people as they stopped their individual battles for a moment to look at what caused it. "That's impressive strength." Even when surprised, Urauge's grin hadn't left his face for a single moment, "but that was my favorite pillar." The mad monk swung his right fist at Naruto's head. Naruto tilted his head a little to his right and evaded the punch by a narrow margin, not moving an inch from his place. He grabbed the extended arm, pulled Urauge over his shoulder and slammed him into the ground. The monk didn't stay down for long though as he jumped to his feet the next moment. Naruto lunged towards him and threw a haymaker right at his jaw. The punch connected and Urauge was sent flying. Naruto watched as the big man stood up once again. "I thought for sure that would knock a few teeth at least," Naruto said. The monk dusted his robes, ignoring the blood coming from his mouth like he didn't just get punched in the face. Once he rose up, Urauge cracked his knuckles and got ready to fight once again. "You're a strong one. That's good, I won't feel as bad when you die at my hands." The monk rushed him once again. His right fist docked and aimed for his temple. Naruto blocked it with open palm without much effort on his part. Urauge immediately threw his left, which was also blocked by an open palm. He wasn't discouraged by the lack of success however, as he kept throwing punch after punch at Naruto's head. Every single one of which were easily deflected. Naruto didn't even have to move an inch or put much effort into it. Why does he keep doing the same thing over and over again when it clearly isn't working? He's up to something. Naruto became on guard. He didn't want to mess around and drag out this fight. He had no interest in finding out the tricks of Urauge either. When the next punch came, instead of blocking it, Naruto grabbed the monk's arm by the wrist and twisted it. Hard. Urauge let out a scream loud enough to reach every corner of the town. Naruto didn't give him a second to breath, he punched the big guy in the guts hard enough to mute his scream and make him spit out saliva. The force of the impact threw the large man more than 50 feet backwards where he landed in a heap. Urauge coughed a couple more times and shakily got up to his feet. That's when Naruto noticed something about his opponent. Is it me or did that guy got bigger after that last punch? He wondered out loud. Thank you for the boost. Urauge flexed his muscles as his whole body grew in size. He cracked his knuckles and dashed at Naruto once again, this time faster than he was a minute ago. When he got close to Naruto, Urauge jumped in the air as he brought down the now immense fist at him, and now, retribution. Naruto crossed his arms in front of his face, the punch connected with far greater power than he anticipated, it was enough to push him back a couple of inches. "So you can absorb the force of my punches, huh?" Naruto asked with a smile. Urauge just kept grinning. "Alright then, I guess simple taijutsu is useless." Naruto pushed Urauge back with a burst of speed and backflipped to put some distance between them. He took out 2 kunai and waited for Urauge to get close. The monk once again charged him like a wild bull. Naruto coated both his kunai with wind chakra. When the big guy got close enough, Naruto threw both of them as fast as he could just above the armpit where shoulder met the arm. The monk had no time to dodge, and not a lot of things could block a flying swallow. The kunai pierced the skin and muscle like it was wet paper and came out from the other side. Pain shot through his arms as Urauge lost the power in both his limbs. The monk stopped in his track to clutch his shoulders. "You know, I was half expecting you to absorb that damage as well," Naruto said to the monk. Who just kept grinning, the constant smile was starting to creep him out. Is he crazy? Naruto wondered in his mind. He one good hit doesn't mean anything, I didn't come this far to lose. Urauge took a step towards him, then another and another, I can still kick you to death. Naruto took out another kunai and threw it just above Urauge's right knee, it hit its mark and remained stuck. The big man stopped in his tracks, stumbled and fell to his knees, clutching the kunai. Naruto walked up to the fallen monk, he opened his bandage palm, and lighting crackled to life in his hand. Urauge's eyes widened in surprise, the power of rumble fruit. Hehe, so Enel bit the dust after all. That bastard. He laughed. Naruto had a bit of confused look on his face, but didn't dwell on it. He placed his hand on Urauge's shoulder, and the lightning was enough to knock him out. Naruto looked at his surroundings, everyone had stopped fighting, and they were looking at him weird. The men in robes had already thrown their weapons to the ground, they lost their will to fight after seeing their captain like that and promptly surrendered, it was clear as day that they were afraid of him. They weren't the only ones to be afraid of him though, the fighters of Skypiea too had fear in their hearts, he could sense it. Was it because of the lightning? Whatever the case, he didn't care as he would be leaving soon. Naruto took out some ninja wire, began tying up the unconscious man. The injured wiper hobbled his way towards him, he had something in his hands, Naruto couldn't clearly see what. When he was close enough, Wiper extended his hand, he had handcuffs made of stone. "Here, put these on him," he said. "Thanks, but I think I can manage without those. This wire looks thin, but it's incredibly durable." Naruto replied with his usual smile. Wiper just shook his head, "I saw this guy fight earlier, the way he grew in scissors, definitely a devil fruit user. These are made of sea stone, it weakens devil fruit users. Basically it has the same effect as drawing in the sea." "Oh okay, thanks." Naruto took the handcuffs and put them on Urauge. So sea and sea stone weaken devil fruit users. That was a big weakness he just found out. Who would have thought something so simple as a stone or sea would weaken these guys he was hearing so much about. "Hey guys. Can you tie up the rest of them?" he said loudly to the recovering soldiers. It didn't take much time for them to do so. Naruto grabbed Urauge, "Well, you guys take care. I'll go and hand this guys over to the navy." Naruto was about to take his leave when the old man with a weird horse he saw earlier approached him. "I don't know how to thank you, I thought we wouldn't have to fight anymore again," the old man said. "No need to thank me, Grandpa, I was just repaying your hospitality," Naruto said with his usual smile. "That Kamakiri guy helped me a lot." The old man chuckled, "He's a good man, his kindness saved us today." By now, the civilians of Skypiea had come out of their hiding place and began gathering at their location. Children ran ahead of them without any caution to talk to the guy that took down the evil man. "Where did you find the rumble fruit anyway?" Wiper couldn't help his curiosity. It also didn't help that he was incredibly happy to know that Enel was dead. Proof, his devil fruit had respawned. Rumble fruit. Naruto tilted his head in confusion. "It's the strongest loja fruit, whoever eats it becomes lightning human." "Oh Ethadam, I found it on Jaya." Naruto lied through his teeth. He didn't particularly feel like explaining what chakra is and what you can do with it, so he just went with the devil fruit explanation. And to his surprise, Wiper bought it. At this point, the kids started pulling on his clothes to get his attention, their patience must have run out. Naruto chuckled and crouched down to their level. "Big brother, what's your name? Why is your hand wrapped in bandages? Did you get hurt? How come you look like a cat? Do you have any rubber bands? What happened to your wings?" A bunch of them asked one question after another, without even giving him a chance to answer any of them. It made him laugh. "Everybody stop." A little girl yelled, "Don't speak all at once. It's bad manners." "Thank you kid." Naruto ruffled her hair, "You can call me Naruto, and as for rubber bands you may have something better." The kids looked at him with stars in their eyes. Naruto gathered chakra in his mouth and channeled his lava release, he adjusted the ratio of earth and fire to form vulcanized rubber and spat out a rubber ball. Here, Naruto gave them the ball and kids ran to play. When that was done, Naruto once again addressed the old man, "This is a fun place, but now I have to get going. I'll take these guys with me," he pointed towards the pirates with his head. The old man smiled, "You've done a lot for us, Naruto. Even when you didn't have to, let us at least thank you properly." "You don't have to do anything, Grandpa. Really, I'm just happy to help." Naruto tried to assure him, but the old man didn't look like he would let it go. "It will bring great shame on the people of Skypia if, as the residing kami, I only gave you hollow thank you for your help." The old man smiled, "Come with me," he led the way through the huts and houses towards the bell. Naruto followed the old man, dragging the unconscious Urauge with him and wondering why he was leading him towards the golden bell. One by one, many others followed him towards the bell too. "You know, when Kamakiri told me that a man from Blue Sea was interested in ruins of Shandora, I thought you as another adventurer who was searching for the Golden City," the old man was saying. "Yeah, he told me this was once the legendary Golden City," Naruto replied. "But no, I'm not here for the gold if that's what you're wondering." The man chuckled, "I thought as much. The Shandians protected this city from outsiders for thousands of years. Until recently people fought and died doing their duty." By now they had reached the platform. Naruto followed the old man as he stood in front of the blue stone at the foot of the giant bell platform. "But now the duty is fulfilled, thanks to the Pirate King." "What do you mean?" Naruto was confused a little. He had no idea what the old man was going on about. From what he knew, Pirate King Gold Roger died more than 2 decades ago, but the old man was talking like it was recent event. And how did the king of pirates fulfill their duty? "For Sky people, gold isn't worth much, but the bell is important because its sound guides the souls of ancestors to hear." The old man said, "In the past, its sound was a warning to all those who wished to conquer the Golden City that Shandian didn't fear them and to show that they are capable of protecting their treasure." "But you said gold isn't worth much to you?" Naruto asked. What is the old man trying to say? He wondered. "That's right. It's not the gold they were protecting, it was this." The old man walked near the blue stone and traced the carved letters with his hand. "It's a message from the Void Century, this city was tasked to protect it. Pirate King Gold Roger already read it when he came here 2 decades ago and passed it along. This poneglyph has served its purpose so we don't have to die to protect it anymore." Naruto sensed relief and happiness in the old man's voice. "That's awesome. But why are you telling me this?" he asked. "You were interested in the ruins of Shandora, were you not?" The old man turned to face him. "Yeah, I wanted to know what those writings said." Naruto gestured towards the poneglyph. "Besides, he already took an ink print of that thing last night." "I'm afraid I can't tell you that. I can't read what it says. But what I have just told you is basically all you need to know about this ancient city." "I guess it's a dead end then," Naruto said to himself. "Thank you for telling me this, you have no idea how big of a help it is. That's all I came here for." He thanked the old man. "I'll take those pirates away with me if that's all the same with you, they won't trouble you again." Naruto waved his hand and began to walk away from the bell. Naruto took his leave of the Sky Island and boarded the ship of Urauge, seeing as he didn't bring one of his own. The Sky people lowered his ship to the sea below with the help of a giant octopus and he was on his way. Chapter 2: A New Lead. When he got back on the Grand Line after the trip to the sky, Naruto realized 2 things. First, he'd be here for years if he kept on searching blindly. He'd have to infiltrate some place that had access to a lot of information, like the world government or the Navy. From what little information he'd gathered so far, he knew that the Navy was always looking for new recruits, so he wouldn't have to kidnap and replace anyone either. And second, he'd have to meet this Nico Robin. Those writings could potentially tell him the answers he was looking for. After all, an ancient city had dedicated its whole existence to protecting that blue stone, a poneglyph, the old man had called it. It must be something really important. If he could get Nico Robin to read it for him, that'd be awesome. His mind set, Naruto decided to head straight for Marineford while searching for Miss Robin along the way. But first he had to do something about his guests. Technically, he was the guest on their ship, but right now they were all tied up in a room, so it wasn't like they were in any position to object. Naruto opened the door and peeked inside the room that acted as makeshift holding cell for the pirates. They were sprawled across the room, just as he left them. Some were leaning their backs on the wall, their captain was sleeping on the floor, still tied up with ninja wire and sea stone handcuffs. "Hey, you guys." Naruto greeted them in a cheerful voice. "How's it going?" Only groans and hungry growls of their stomachs were the response he received. "My, are you guys in a pathetic shape. It's been barely a day, you know." Humiliating a defeated man. "How noble of you." Urauge said from his place, his everlasting grin present even now. "Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude, your opinion means nothing to me. After all, you are the guy that was trying to kill innocents for sake of just gold. God created resources for everyone. If I needed that gold, why shouldn't I take it? It's not like those people were even using it. That's the best you could come up with. Man, that's the most bullshit excuse I've heard like ever. How are you even a monk anyway? Naruto waited for the big guy's response but only received silence. Come on, you can tell me. Why not wear regular clothes and call yourself a regular pirate? Again silence. What, do you get a kick out of dressing like a peaceful monk and killing people? Is that your thing? Nothing. Naruto was getting a bit frustrated by the lack of cooperation from the captive pirate. Okay, tell you what, if you answer my questions nicely and honestly, I'll let you all go free. As soon as he said that, the demoralized and hungry group of pirates perked up and looked at their captain with so much hope Naruto almost wanted to untie them. Almost. But the big guy just scoffed, like I'd believe that. True. I wouldn't have let you go. Naruto put his index finger to his chin and thought for a moment. How about this then, if you give me some useful and honest answers, I'll feed you guys. How's that sound? Urauge actually thought about his offer this time. He glanced at his crew, people who had suffered with him and fought for him, lying hungry. He made up his mind in no time at all. Fine. What do you want to know? The look of concern for his men hadn't gone unnoticed by Naruto. Well, at least you care about your crew, I'll give you that much. That's a lot more I could say for you than those guys I saw at Jaya. But that aside, tell me, why did you take up a pirate's life? Back home, on Burka, I was a priest for our kami for practically my whole life. Life was peaceful, no intruders, no famine, no crime, basically it was as normal as you could get. Then one day, out of nowhere, a young man named Enel showed up at the temple, said he was the kami from that point. Obviously we laughed at this young man's audacity and foolishness. And then? Naruto asked. Then he killed everyone in the kami's temple. Urauge still managed to keep his smile intact as he said that. But you lived. He let me live. More as a show of power than as a mercy. I was the strongest man in Burka after Kami himself. By letting me go, he had declared that nobody was a match for him, that no one could oppose him. I tried to rally the Burkans to overthrow him, but no one wanted to test the power of Rumble Rumble Fruit. I had to flee in shame with what few people that were brave enough to come with me. Later I found out Enel had wiped out Burka from existence, citizens and all. That day, I vowed I'd kill the bastard with my own hands. But fate is a cruel mistress. Just when I had gotten strong enough to challenge Enel, he was nowhere to be found, but still I was defeated by that accursed Rumble Rumble Fruit. You mean the fruit that gives lightning powers? Hehehe, don't act so innocent. You ate it, didn't you? You ate the strongest Loja fruit in existence. You still didn't answer why you became a pirate. Naruto changed from the stupid devil fruit this guy loved talking so much about. Because one day I'll be the pirate king. Like Roger, I'll have everything the world has to offer. Wealth, fame, power, everything a kami is supposed to have. I'll be the kami of this whole world, and then no one will ever hurt my friends ever again. Well, you have good intentions, but that doesn't mean you get to kill innocents. Naruto got up from his chair. You stayed true to your word, you were honest. Do any of you know how to cook? He asked the room. One of the guys from his left spoke up in affirmation. Naruto walked up to him, he took out a kunai and cut the wire. The man flexed his newly freed arms. Go in the kitchen and make something for your crew. Naruto told him. The man practically ran out the room. Naruto once again turned to Urauge. If I were to free you, will you turn a new leaf? Quit being a pirate. Urauge must have sensed the honesty in his words because he too answered honestly. Once you get a bounty put on your head, it stays like that until you are dead. Urauge shook his head. Thanks for the offer, but I already took up the Jolly Roger. I'll die a pirate. Naruto sighed. Suit yourself. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. With that he left the pirates alone. Naruto got back on the deck and headed upstairs for the captain's cabin. Like most of the ship, this room too had a shrine-like appearance, with an altar near the far end. Naruto made his way over to the table. There were a lot of religious symbols on it as well, and a transponder snail was sleeping beside a framed wanted poster of Mad Monk Urauge. Naruto went through the drawers. There were praying beads, detailed maps of both Paradise and New World, a journal, a log pose, another log pose with 3 needles among various other small things, mostly religious. Naruto chose a map of Paradise and stretched it on the table in front of him. He was somewhere east of Jaya, that much he knew, so that meant there was an island named Navrin nearby that had a marine base. It would take him a couple of days at most to get there. Naruto decided to hand over the pirates at that base and continue forward to Marineford. His decision made, he got back on the deck and made his way to Ray's platform near the front of the ship, where the helm was. Naruto was hardly any expert when it came to sailing, but he did have some experience on the high seas. He made that long voyage to that turtle island before the war. That has to count for something, right? Naruto put his fingers in a crossed ram seal, and another identical Naruto appeared to his left. Okay, so from what I remember, Captain Yamato moved the sails to catch wind and get the ship moving, right? Pretty much. Alright then, I'll take the helm and you get the sails. Aye, Captain." The clone saluted him and climbed the main mast. Naruto got behind the wheel and took out both log poses and the map of paradise from his pocket. Let's see, the log pose with single needle was pointing straight ahead, so were the 3 needles of the other log pose. The only island in that direction he could see on the map was Navern. He nodded in satisfaction. "We need to go straight ahead," he yelled to his clone. "Got it?" The clone yelled back, "Hey, do you want me to take down these flags?" "Yeah, take them down. This is not a pirate ship anymore. Besides, we don't want to get in pointless scuffles with the Navy." The clone took down Jolly Rogers from both the masts and moved the sails to catch the wind so they could move forward. When the sails were set, the clone jumped down. Naruto left the clone to man the helm and went to explore the ship. The ship itself was fairly large with 2 masts. It had a figurehead of a white demon face with sharp yellow teeth, red horns and 2 crossed blades and a shield behind it. The main mast had a small shrine and crow's nest and 2 sails on it. The ship had enough rooms to house a crew of 50 comfortably, with a big, fully equipped kitchen, a spacious living room decorated with expensive-looking furniture, storage room filled with barrels of booze, tools and timber for repair, and plenty of cannonballs with 4 cannons on either side of the ship. Naruto was just finishing inspecting the cannons when a small snowflake landed on his hand, melting instantly due to the body heat. Snow. He turned his gaze upwards as more and more snow had began to fall. What the fuck? The weather was clear a moment ago. He cursed in confusion and frustration. This was going to be his first challenge navigating the treacherous sea known as Grand Line. He quickly created 10 more shadow clones so he'd have easier time keeping the ship afloat. Naruto spent rest of his journey trying to keep the ship from sinking. Apparently the Grand Line was a real bitch when it came to mood swings, aka weather changes. It'd be a beautiful sunny day one moment and the next moment a storm would appear out of nowhere. If it wasn't a storm, then it was a maelstrom, a hail, typhoon, sea kings, whatever. It was like the nature itself was trying its best to sink everything to the bottom of the ocean. The sea was unpredictable in every sense of the word. Good thing Uzumaki Naruto was master of unpredictable things. Once again he proved Kakashi-sensei didn't give him that nickname for nothing. He used every trick in the book, from holding the sails together with brute physical power, to using precise water manipulation, to get away from maelstroms and Neptunians. By hook or crook, he managed to see out the weathers. On rare occasion that the sea was calm, he spent that time reading the journal of this mad monk Urauge and putting some useful things he found on the ship and sealing scrolls, like the barrels of sake he found in the storage room. The sun was already up in the sky when he finally came near Navern. It was an island fortress surrounded by cliffs on all sides, except for a small entrance which was guarded by a big iron gate. There were watchtowers on the cliffs overlooking the sea. Naruto moved his ship towards the gate slowly and deliberately so they would notice him from a distance. He didn't want them to fire cannons at him in panic, thinking they were getting attacked by a suspicious-looking pirate ship or something. The sentries spotted his ship and an alarm was sounded. Naruto stopped the ship and waited for them to open the gate. Instead of simply opening the gate, 2 warships approached him from either side. They stopped a safe distance away from him and had their cannons pointed at him already. One of the men on the ship to his right came on the prow. He had a large snail with a speaker attached in his hands. Naruto assumed him to be captain of the ship. "You're trespassing in waters of Marine Base G8, surrender yourself or we'll have to open fire," the man said in the speaker. "Surrender? He probably thinks I'm a pirate because of this stupid ship." To be fair, it was his own fault for not changing the sails, since they still had Urauge's Jolly Roger painted on them. Naruto walked near the edge, hands in the air to show them he wasn't going to attack and stood on the railings. "I'm not a pirate. I'm here to hand over some pirates I captured." He yelled at top of his lungs so the Marines could hear him. After a couple of seconds the Marine spoke again. "Bring the pirates on the deck where we can see them," the man said. Naruto thought they'd be cautious like that. "Hold on a minute," he said and went inside. He went past the captain's cabin, kitchen and a shrine, and reached a room where he'd kept the pirates. Naruto opened the door. The pirates were all looking at him with absolute loathing, even Urauge had stopped smiling. "I guess this is goodbye," Naruto said to no one in particular. "You better watch your back, sooner or later I'll come for you," Urauge said as Naruto lifted him up to his feet. "Yeah, you have no idea how many times I've heard that." Naruto pulled the whole crew to their feet one by one. Naruto had to push a few of them. When they reappeared on the deck, the Marines had already prepared to both board the ship and to fight, depending on what Naruto did next. When he saw the tied-up pirates, the Marine spoke once again. "Prepare to be boarded, remain where you are. Don't make any sudden moves or you'll regret it." They put a plank between the ships and about 50 or so Marines crossed over, guns and swords at the ready, including the captain. One by one, the pirates were led onto the warship. While the soldiers were busy, the captain approached Naruto. "That's Mad Monk Urauge you captured. What's your name?" the captain asked. He was a tall and muscular man with rough features and large sideburns. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto, nice to meet you." He introduced himself with a bright smile and stretched his right hand. The captain shook his extended hand. "I'm Lieutenant Drake. Uzumaki Naruto, are you a pirate hunter?" "Something like that." "You must be new to this business, I never heard of you before," Drake said. "Yeah. In fact that's the first pirate I ever captured," he said with a smile. "First catch and that too a pirate worth over 100 million berry. That's impressive and you don't seem to have any partners either." The man half praised half asked. "Yeah, I'm really new at this." "Well then, you can drop anchor here and come with me." When Naruto looked a little confused, he clarified, "to collect your reward. Although it's fine if you don't want it." He joked. Naruto laughed a little. "Oh of course, I almost forgot about that." The lieutenant led the way and Naruto followed him on the warship. The Marines hurried to take their ship inside, the huge iron gate opened slowly and ship entered the narrow entrance. As they cleared the entrance, the main island in the center came into view. Their ship turned and headed for a nearest dock. The lieutenant began yelling orders and the Marines hurried to dock the ship. Once they were anchored, even more soldiers gathered at the dock. The pirates were led away one after another in a single file with heavy guard. "Please, come with me Mr. Uzumaki," Drake said when they finally set foot on solid land. Naruto did as he was asked. They walked through the long maze-like hallways and went deep inside the building. Out of habit beaten into him by Kakashi and later Jiraiya, he memorized the layout, the exits, the dead ends, and even noted the air ducts as possible escape routes, just in case. They stopped in front of a room and Drake knocked the door. They both heard a come in from inside and the lieutenant opened the door. Inside there was a man sitting in a chair behind a desk. He had dark brown hair, bushy eyebrows and even bushier mustache. He was wearing regular civilian clothes. Naruto spotted a navy uniform in a corner behind the man's left. It was a typical white uniform with a lot of medals pinned to the chest. "You must be our guest," the man said as his eyes crinkled into smile. "You gave our lieutenant quite the scare earlier, hahaha." Naruto chuckled too. "Yeah, I guess I should have changed the sails." Come, have a seat." "You too Drake," the man's voice was polite, he seemed like an easygoing person. Naruto liked the old man so far. He did as he was asked, but Drake didn't. "I'll go get this young man's reward sir," he said as he left the room. "Ah yes, the 108 million berries for capturing Mad Monk Urauge." The man waved at his subordinate as he left and then turned his attention back to Naruto. "Sorry, but you'll have to wait a bit until the whole amount is brought here. It's rare for a man worth over 100 million berry to be captured in the paradise, you see," he said with a smile. "It's no problem. He wasn't that much trouble." Naruto scratched the back of his neck. "Ah where are my manners, I'm Vice Admiral Jonathan." "I'm Uzumaki Naruto." Now that the formal introduction was out of the way, Vice Admiral Jonathan continued where he'd left off. "No problem capturing a bounty that big, huh? If that's true then we could use someone like you in the Navy." "Yeah, lately I've been thinking about it too." Naruto leaned back in his chair. "Can you tell me what do I have to do to join?" Jonathan smiled. "It's nice to see young men like you wanting to join the Navy instead of becoming a pirate, it's rare these days. It's always been my dream to catch bad guys and rescue princesses from evil men." The vice admiral laughed out loudly at his comment. "Why you're funny," he said as he wiped a tear from his eye. Naruto meanwhile had a genuinely confused look on his face. "What's funny about that?" "But jokes aside, if you're really serious about joining, I can give you the sailor's uniform. But petty officer is the highest rank I'm allowed to recruit." "Is that low?" "Considering you captured Urauge without much difficulty as you say, it might be a little low for you," Jonathan explained. "So what rank would suit me?" Jonathan leaned back in his chair as he thought about it for a bit. "I'd guess you'd make a good commodore or even a rear admiral," he told honestly. "How high is that?" Naruto had no clue how ranks in the Navy worked, but he wanted to get the highest one. Higher rank meant more access to information that some low-rank recruit would never get to see in his life. Rear admiral is the fourth highest rank you can get in the Navy, commodore is just below that. "And what's above rear admiral?" "Ambitious, are we?" Jonathan smiled at that. "Above rear admiral are vice admirals like me, and even above us are the admirals, the greatest power in the Navy. Fleet admiral is the one in charge of all of Marines, it's the highest you can possibly go." Naruto went into a deep think. First of all, he didn't think they'd make him fleet admiral right away, so that was out. Now, the admiral position sounded pretty sweet. The greatest power the old man had called them, didn't he? A title like that would definitely have a lot of influence. He nodded at his own conclusion. "How do I become an admiral?" The vice admiral chuckled. "You don't settle, do you? I'm afraid no one has been directly appointed an admiral in the history of Marines. But there have been cases where vice admirals have been appointed by the fleet admiral, although that's rare too. So, vice admiral is the best I can hope for." "You say that like it's a bad thing." Vice Admiral have a lot of freedom and a lot of authority too, you know. That was all he needed, but you can't appoint someone to the same rank as yourself. No, but the HQ can and I can give you a letter of recommendation. With that he picked up the transponder snail that had so far had been deep asleep on the table. Drake, can you also grab an eternal pose for Marineford please, he said and hung up. Give me a minute to write that letter. Yeah, of course. Naruto smiled brightly. Who knew it'd be so easy to infiltrate the Marines? Capture a bad guy and Viola, they practically invite you themselves. Suckers must have their hand full. After some time had passed in silence, they heard a knock on the door. After a come in, the lieutenant walked in with a large briefcase. Looks like your reward is here. Jonathan said without even looking up from the letter he was writing. The Marine put the briefcase on the table between them, Drake opened it to show him the berries inside. Naruto nodded in approval and took it in his hands. Pleasure doing business with you Lieutenant, he smiled. Here's the eternal pose you asked for sir. Drake put it on the table. Give it to Mr. Uzumaki, Drake. He's going to the HQ and become an officer of the Navy. Jonathan folded the letter neatly and put it in an official-looking envelope. Really? That's great news, we could always use strong men. That's what I said. Naruto accepted the letter and grabbed both the eternal pose and the briefcase, thank you for your help, Vice Admiral. And thanks for the sentinel pose, it'll make my journey a lot easier. He bowed a little. Ah, don't mention it. Just show that letter to the Fleet Admiral when you get to Marineford. Yes, again, thanks. I'll take my leave then, if that's all. Yes, of course. I'm sure you're in a hurry. With that, Naruto left for his ship that was anchored outside. Are we seriously joining the Marines? He heard Kurama speak in his mind as he was walking through the hallways. Yup. That's our best bet. I'm sure these guys carry out missions all over the world, so we might find something useful if we dig up their mission reports. Plus we can get some experienced sailors that will help us get places on these seas. He replied. That's good thinking. It's fine with me either way, explore this world as a Marine or just go solo, doesn't make much difference. Yeah, but we'll waste a lot of time if we wander about alone, you know. We know frighteningly little about this place, any help would be awesome at this point. I want to complete this mission as soon as possible. By now he had reached the docks and a small boat was ready to take him to his ship. Naruto got in the boat and the Marine with him started rowing. First phase of his mission was complete, he had all the basic knowledge he needed to blend in. With eagerness to start the next phase of the mission, he left G8 Marine Base to head to his next destination, where he can hopefully find out what he was looking for. Hokage Tower, Konoha. The newly appointed 6th Hokage of Konoha was currently sitting in his new chair, standing before him was a young jonin by the name of Nara Shikamaru, who was currently going over the first report they had received from Naruto. As the young Nara read on, he came across a certain part about the Sky Island and he became visibly annoyed, that bastard is gloating. Kakashi chuckled, yes, he probably knew you'd read the report. You have to admit, it does sound pretty wonderful, sleeping on the clouds. Yeah, he is living my dream. They both shared a small laugh at that. Naruto's fun aside, that place can at least give us some information about those Otsutsuki. That's good news. Their conversation had once again turned serious. Shikamaru immediately sobered up, those chakra fruits he mentioned at the sound nasty. Kakashi nodded in agreement, a fruit that gives you Kekai Genkai or Kekai Toto-like abilities, they are very suspicious. Naruto's mentioned that the existence of those fruits alone increases the possibility that that world might have some form of connection with the Otsutsuki. Or at least a clue. The only thing we know that can produce anything similar was that god tree. We don't know that for sure though, they sound pretty similar, but maybe it's something different. More like, Shikamaru hoped it was something different. Because the first conclusion they came to was really troublesome. True, we'll have to wait until Naruto sends us more information. Hopefully, next time he tells us where those fruits came from. Yeah, hopefully. The Nara continued, Lord Hokage, can I ask you something? Kakashi gave him a nod. Why Naruto? What do you mean? Why was Naruto chosen for this mission? That too, a solo mission with indefinite time frame. I'm sure he'd have liked to stay in the village, learn more from you. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? He is the only one that I know for sure that can hold his own with whatever unknown powers he might encounter in that world. Plus he's become a master at stealth after his time with Lord Jiraiya. That's true and all, but somehow I suspect there's more to it, isn't there? Kakashi knew his question wasn't really a question at all, but rather a conclusion he'd come to on his own. After all, why not send an Anbu unit that specializes in stealth and infiltration if all we needed was information? Shikamaru added. The young Hokage chuckled, nothing gets past you, does it? My earlier reasoning is true, but there is more to it, he got up from his chair and walked over to the window. His gaze fell on the peaceful village he was responsible for. Peace is the most fragile thing in the world, Shikamaru. It doesn't take much to break it. The one we have now was earned because we all fought together against a common enemy. It was necessary for us to unite under one banner for our survival. But now that we've won, we don't have any reason to stay together. And if the only thing that's keeping the peace was the presence of Naruto, then it was only an illusion and not the real thing. Shikamaru nodded in understanding, so you sent him away to test the resolve of other villages. It was true, the great villages had no reason to be allies anymore, and if they wanted this peace to last, then it has to stand its test. That test being the inherent nature of shinobi. Does he know? Nara asked. Naruto and I came up with this plan together. Kakashi's both eyes crinkled in smile. Shikamaru folded the report neatly. Do you want me to call the 5-cage summit? He asked, satisfied now that he had his answer. No, not yet. We don't have that much information to trouble the other cage yet. Just write down a summary of Naruto's report and take it to Allied Shinobi HQ the next time you go there. Understood, sir. Shikamaru said as he took his leave. Somewhere on the Grand Line. Naruto was on the deck in the middle of the night, steering the ship. It had only been a few weeks since his voyage began, but it felt a lot longer than that, like years had passed since he had solid ground under his feet. But he didn't mind it that much, he had quickly gotten used to life on the high seas. It wasn't that difficult as he'd first imagined it to be. It took a bit getting used to, sure, but that was all. Well, his sleep schedule got fucked up, but that was about it. Besides, he'd come to appreciate the beauty of this water-wide world lately. Like now, a crescent moon was in the sky, and the sea was bathed in cool light of the moon as far as the eye could see. The light reflected on the waves looked like pearls dancing on the water. It was something out of a painting everywhere he looked. Except to his right, that area was covered in a fog so thick Naruto couldn't see beyond 10 feet. The fog itself had a strange and creepy feel to it. It was even hindering his sensing ability a little bit, and that was enough to get his attention. Naruto channeled Sage Mode to get the feel of it and noticed hundreds of chakra signatures deep inside the fog. But the one that got his attention was about 100 feet away from his ship. It was so weak, he wouldn't have even noticed it if not for his Sage Mode. It meant only one thing: someone was on the brink of death. Naruto jumped off the ship and headed to the position of that chakra. There were a couple of big dead fishes floating in the water. They looked domesticated since they had seats and armor on their backs, and they even had weapons mounted on them. Naruto put her on the bed and pulled some warm covers on her. Then he bit his thumb and went through the hand signs: boar, dog, bird, monkey, ram, and slammed his hand on the floor. In a puff of smoke a small toad appeared in front of him. It was a 2 feet tall pink toad with wide underbelly, yellow eyes and a white kimono. Hello Peach, Naruto greeted the toad. Boss. It's been a long time, the small toad smiled and bowed. Listen, I need a favor. He gestured towards the retreat on the bed. She's hurt and has a high fever. Can you take care of her? Sure, leave it to me. Peach hopped on the bed and began to check her vitals. Naruto created a shadow clone. She'll most likely be in a bad state when she wakes up, he told the clone, and got a nod in response. Naruto left the room and stood on the deck for a couple of seconds. He reactivated his Sage Mode. The chakra signatures he felt before were still there, but this time he noticed something he didn't notice before. 2 same chakra signatures were coming from 2 places at the same time. This particular observation surprised him. Do the people here know how to use clone jutsu? Now he really needed to check out exactly what was the situation in the thick fog. Naruto jumped in the water and started walking. After walking a few hundred meters, he came across a huge gate shaped like a mouth. It even had teeth and lips. Creepy mouth gate in creepy fog. Naruto jumped over the gate to land in the water on the other side of it. He walked deeper and deeper until he came across a shore. It looked like a fortified island with a stone wall and a deep moat. He again jumped across the wall and moat in one go and landed on solid ground. The fog here wasn't so dense, and he could see things from afar relatively well. The island itself was covered in a thick forest, but all the trees looked like they were dead. They didn't have a single fresh leaf on their branches. He could see silhouette of a large building in the middle of the forest. He squinted his eyes to get a clear picture. It took a few moments for his eyes to adjust to the light, and when they did, Naruto could clearly make out the large mansion in the middle of the island, with an even larger mansion behind it. Naruto could sense the presence of about 100 people a mile away in the forest. He also felt these 100 chakra signatures coming from the other side of island as well. Naruto took to the tree branches and headed in the direction of those people. Jumping from tree to tree, making sure to not make any sound whatsoever, he stopped a safe distance away from them. What he saw completely took him by surprise. They looked like walking corpses. They were walking corpses, with tattered clothes and flesh rotten off to reveal the bones underneath, the whole package. Most of them had bandages wrapped around their heads to somewhat hide the exposed skull, and there were numbers tattooed on them. Why? Naruto had no idea. Hey Kurama, are you seeing this? They look like Naruto said in his mind. Reanimations, yeah. Never thought I'd see that again, Kurama finished his sentence. I know that jutsu too, you know. He reminded his friend. But yeah, I didn't think I'd see something like reanimation in this world. That's different. I know you'll never disturb the dead unless you have no other choice. But this. Looks like someone wants an army of corpses. But they don't look so strong, their flesh and muscle are rotten, and their chakra is pretty weak as well. Not to mention I feel the same chakra coming from other side of island, are they clones of some kind? This time Naruto finished Kurama's sentence. There's only one way to know. Alright, he said and pulled out a shuriken from his pocket. He coated it with wind chakra and threw it at the neck of a corpse. Before any of them realized what happened, one of them had his head severed, no one even saw how or why. When they heard the sound of the head hitting the ground, they looked around to see the cause of sound. Naruto had his eyes fixed on them. Hey, your head fell off, one of them said. Didn't you fix it properly? Another one picked up the head and handed it back to the owner. Thanks, man, he accepted his head, those rotten pirates from the forest were running after me with salt. I didn't get much time to fix it. The severed head was saying as his body was trying to reattach it to the torso. Naruto watched the scene in confused silence. There's no way they are alive, Kurama said finally. Aha, should I seal them away? Didn't you notice? Kurama asked. Notice what? Naruto rested his chin on his first finger as he thought about what he missed. He didn't regenerate like a reanimation, he just put his head back on his shoulders. No need to seal them, I think some critical damage will get the job done, Kurama explained. Okay, let's try it. Naruto took out a kunai and attached an explosive tag to its handle. Still hiding in the branch, he threw the kunai at the corpse who was closest to him. The kunai hit its mark and remained stuck. It took a second for the tag to burn and then it exploded with a loud bang. The explosion caused the corpse to catch fire and was soon engulfed completely in flames. As the corpse burned away, Naruto noticed some black substance escape from the fire at high speeds. Hey, who did that? Was it that rotten long-nosed punk from earlier? Hey, who is it attacking like a rotten coward? You'll pay for messing with us soldiers, Amis. It's rotten dangerous out here. It's dangerous in there too, you know. The corpses said one after another. Kurama. Yeah. I saw that, they're being controlled somehow by that black thing. And fire is their weakness. Burn them, Naruto. Naruto nodded in his head. He jumped down from his hiding spot and landed on the ground without a sound. He went through the hand signs ram, horse, snake, dragon, rat, ox, tiger, he inhaled as much air as his lungs could handle. Fire style. Dragon flame bullet. He shot large flames from his mouth and manipulated them in the shape of a dragon, which was then further divided into 3 separate dragons. One attacked the right, one left, and the third hit the middle of the targets, turning everything they touched into ash. A moment later, a lot of black shadows escaped out of the fire. That wasn't so hard, let's go take care of the others. Kurama didn't reply, instead he went back to sleep. Naruto ran inside the mansion, there were chakra signature coming from almost every room. He entered the first room, there were definitely a dozen of those corpse clones here, but he didn't see anything outside of mounted heads of dead animals, some pelt on the floor and bunch of weird paintings. He stopped at each one to take a good look as he was examining a painting of a half-lady half-bear, creatures of the other paintings, those mounted on walls, used as carpets, everyone leaped out at him, fangs and claws stretched. Even the half-lady bear in the painting jumped out of the painting. Naruto just calmly stepped out the way at the last moment, the freaky painting animals hit the wall instead of him. Got you? Naruto grinned at them and went through the hand signs again. Ram, horse, snake, dragon, rat, ox, tiger fire style. Dragon flame bullet. Naruto followed this routine for every room, he would go into one room, wait for the corpses to attack and burn them. Very soon, almost the whole mansion was set on fire. There are a lot of them, and many are scattered throughout the island. Naruto made a cross ram sign and created 20 shadow clones, each went in a different direction. They already knew their job. Just as he was busy burning the corpses, he heard a loud voice that came from the direction of the larger mansion and the sound of something huge crashing in a building. Straw Hat Pirates. Come out here. The voice sounded like it came from someone huge, most likely a giant. Naruto quickly finished burning every room that had the weird corpses in it and ran towards the ruckus. He climbed the stairs to find himself on a bridge that connected the 2 mansions. It was completely covered in trees, and unlike the rest of the island they were green, the bridge itself was further decorated with various types of plants and flowers. Now that he was outside the mansion and had a clear view, he saw what exactly was causing the destruction, or rather, who was causing the destruction. Right below the bridge he was standing on, there was a huge giant, over 200 feet tall at least, with red skin, long blonde hair that reached his lower back, very large lower canines and huge curved horns. Naruto had heard that there were giants in this world, but this one was gigantic. Naruto found the size of him to be a bit misleading, since compared to the size, his chakra reserves were downright puny. Then he looked closer. Like the corpses he saw in that mansion, this giant also had patched up, sewn together skin and a number on his arm. Naruto assumed that he was another corpse puppet. The mansion in front of him appeared to be heavily damaged, and that too very recently, and Naruto was pretty sure what was the cause of that. As the giant was still climbing on and punching holes through the walls of the building, evidently looking for the Straw Hats as he had their wanted posters on his hand and was looking at them every couple of seconds and then looking inside the mansion, tearing it in the process. Sure enough, Naruto saw the Straw Hats on the ground below, apparently getting ready to fight the giant. He had some business with them, but first he had to incinerate the giant corpse. To destroy someone that big without a trace, Naruto had to use a wide-scale jutsu, and he didn't want anyone else to get caught in crossfire. He needed to get closer. Naruto channeled chakra in his legs and ran to the ground below, faster than a naked eye could follow. The Straw Hats were lined up to attack their captain zombie. Zoro had his fingers near the swords. I have an idea. How about this time, we throw him around for a change? Usopp had his special attack ready, but was still shaking at the prospect of fighting a giant with Luffy's fighting abilities. What? Throw him? He's so huge. Sanji had lit up a brand new cigarette. Sounds like fun. Keep in mind, he may be big, but he can still move like Luffy. It won't be easy, Zoro warned his crewmates. I don't want to see someone like that become Pirate King. Robin was ready to sprout hundreds of arms at the drop of a hat. There are plenty of ways we can take him down. Frankie cracked his knuckles and picked up his pillar nunchucks. He has to have some kind of weak point, Chopper said. Sanji took another puff of his cigarette. Standard strategy against a big fish is, you have to weaken it little by little. Just then, they were stopped in their tracks by sudden appearance of a blond man in red cape between them and oars. He was looking up at oars and had his back to them. Sorry for interrupting, but can you get back please? I don't want my attack to catch you by accident, Naruto said, still looking at oars who was ready to attack any moment now. Who the hell are you? Zoro pointed at him with one of his swords. Naruto looked over his shoulder towards the swordsman, but before he could answer he was interrupted by the corpse giant. Ha ha ha, get crushed. Gum gum, the giant jumped in the air, but stomp. Luffy doesn't do that. Run. Usopp yelled. The Straw Hats backed away to avoid getting crushed. Naruto didn't budge from his spot. He extended his right arm and formed a big bull Rasen Shuriken. He gave the Rasengan the chakra nature of lava and held it straight above his head lava style. Rasen Shuriken, Naruto threw it at the airborne corpse. The Rasen Shuriken met oars in midair, the giant was struck right in the stomach and the attack carried him high in the air and above the mansion. After 3 full seconds of ascent, the lava expanded and completely swallowed its target, turning it into ash in an instant. Woo it. Usopp looked at the attack in awe. He beat that zombie in one shot. Sanji said as he exhaled a small cloud of smoke. And now that this matter is taken care of, he grit his teeth and his eyes looked like they were on fire. Nami-san. I'm coming to save you. He ran at full speed. Others just watched him go like a man possessed. He didn't just beat it, he erased it. Super. What the hell was that? Zoro sheathed his shusui. That has to be some kind of devil fruit power. An admiral of the navy can also use lava. Robin said in her usual calm voice. Image of that evacuation ship from 20 years ago was still fresh in her memory. With Luffy. Through the circular hallways of the masked mansion, Moria was leading Luffy on a wild goose chase. Through this room and that stairway Moria was running and running while taunting Luffy. Wait. Moria. I'm going to pulverize you. Shy, why are you chasing after me, Straw Hat? Well, you waste your time here, your friends are getting killed by a zombie of your own shadow, hahaha. Moria laughed like a maniac and vanished behind another corner. Damn it. I promised I'll get their shadows, I can't fail. It'll be really bad if the sun rises before I can beat Moria. Come back here, giant onion. Luffy ran even faster to catch up to Moria. Both of them were running around all over the place. Luffy was so focused on catching Moria, he didn't even realize that he was outside the mansion and was running through the dead forest. For Luffy, nothing else mattered other than beating Moria. Slowly but surely Luffy was closing the distance between them, it was only a matter of time. Just a little bit more, Luffy compressed his legs like a spring and jumped. He barely got his hands on Moria, but as soon as he did, he didn't let go and tackled him to the ground. I caught you, Moria. Luffy huffed and tried to catch his breath. Moria turned around and showed completely dark face to Luffy, only white holes where his eyes and mouth were supposed to be. A shadow. Luffy was confused at first, then it hit him. Aw man. I got tricked. With Moria. After tricking Straw Hat into chasing a shadow, Moria made a beeline for Or's zombie. He would stay in the cockpit in Or's stomach and make him a lot more deadlier. Kashishi serves you right, stupid Straw Hat. Moria arrived on the stairs that led down from Perona's room. There he got his first unexpected surprise of the night. He saw his most powerful zombie, the beast Ors, hurled into the sky with a ball of lava. "What? You idiot. What have you done?" Moria screamed in rage. "You'll pay for destroying my precious zombie. I'll kill you." But Naruto. Naruto was about to turn around and address the pirates behind him when he heard a man scream and yell at him from atop the stairs by the side of mansion. If he were to describe the man, he would have said that the man was shaped like a water drop. He was easily over 20 feet tall with long and thick neck that had multiple stitches on it and 2 horns on his forehead. He wore black coat and had pale blue skin and red hair. The overall appearance made that guy look scary, yet comical at the same time. "So he's responsible for the corpses I saw earlier." Naruto turned around to face the people behind him. "Nico Robin, do you know who that is?" Naruto asked the only lady present there. He knew who they were from the wanted posters. They were kind of famous on Jaya. And he wanted to meet Nico Robin ever since he learned that she could read the writings from Skypia for him. She was wearing a lace-embroidered short maroon dress, net stockings and high heels. She had shoulder-length dark hair and deep blue-green eyes. "That's Gecko Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea." Robin replied plainly. 7 warlords. Naruto knew they were a group of pirates with license to plunder from government, but he'd only known the name of one Don Quixote da Flamingo. He hoped that after beating up one of them they'd still let him join the navy. If not, he had other ways to infiltrate. He steals people's shadows and uses them to make zombies out of corpses. The blue-haired Speedo guy, Frankie said. "I have something I wanna ask you," Naruto said to Nico Robin, but got interrupted by the green-haired guy with 3 swords. "We don't have time to talk. Right now we have some unfinished business with Moria. That bastard is gonna pay for stealing our shadows." He held a sword between his teeth and one in each hand. Zoro brushed past him and got ready to attack Moria. Zoro," the long-nosed guy said, "you have your shadow back," he pointed out. Zoro looked at his feet in surprise. "So Luffy found my zombie at last." He grinned. "But still I won't rest until I cut that stupid clown into ribbons." Just then Naruto got the memories from all of his clones. All the zombies were taken care of. A girl with pink hair and eyes like bushy brows was trying to get off the island. The cat burglar Nami was running around in a wedding dress for some reason, and there were some people in the jungle who had about 100 shadows with them. The clone had set those shadows free and dispelled. The loud thump brought his attention back. Moria had jumped from the stairs and landed in front of him. "I don't care about your shadows anymore, you are all gonna die here." He looked really angry. "Do you have any idea how long it took me to find Or's body? Years of hard work, my dream, you ruined it." Moria screamed. Naruto and the others waited for him to make a move, but none came. Naruto was a little confused. He thought Moria was going to do something for sure, all his intent and body movements said so. But Moria just stood there. All confused and looking stupid. "What is going on? Where are my shadows?" Moria screamed in rage and confusion. "So that's what you were trying to do. Sorry, I already burnt all the corpses. The dead don't belong in this world, you know." Naruto said plainly. "Why you? You are the one that destroyed Ors too, aren't you? I know none of these weaklings have the power to do something like that." Naruto was starting to get annoyed with the guys whining. Using corpses for an army already rubbed him the wrong way. He took a step towards Moria. Then another and another until he stood right in front of Moria. "You know, you talk a lot of shit for someone why can't even tie his own shoes." "Duck." Someone yelled. Naruto ducked and narrowly avoided a punch from Shadow Moria. Moria grit his teeth. "You insolent fool. Die." In an instant, Moria's shadow turned into hundreds of small bats. The bats tried to swarm him, but Naruto jumped away to gain some distance. He was about to charge Moria, but Zoro ran past him before he could. He didn't want to accidentally kill the guy, so Naruto stayed put. Sword style. 108-pound Phoenix. Zoro's sword slash got many of the bats, but they just merged with the original shadow once again. Says Fleur. Twist. Naruto heard the lady say and watched with wide eyes as 6 arms sprouted from Moria's body. 2 arms held his legs in place, 2 bound his arms, 2 grabbed his neck and twisted him backwards in a really uncomfortable position. "That's a handy ability you have there," Naruto said and chuckled at his own joke. Rest of them just looked at him weirdly. Naruto cleared his throat and got ready to attack. Zoro, Frankie, Usopp and Robin were attacking Moria with little to no results. Most of the attacks were being blocked by the Shadow Moria, or he was avoiding being hit by switching with his shadow. Naruto subtly created a lava clone and switched places with it. Naruto clone charged towards Moria, while the real one hid in plain sight transformed as a stone. The shadow moved to intercept just like he thought it would. Hundreds of bats swarmed who Moria thought was Naruto and brought it down to the ground. More than a few tried to bite off chunks of flesh from his body, and Naruto screamed in agony. I shy once my bats sink their teeth into someone they never let go, serves you right. Moria laughed seeing Naruto scream. But that laugh stopped at once when he noticed Naruto's grin just before he turned into lava. The shadow remained unaffected, the lava didn't actually damage it, but it managed to create an opening. Naruto knew he couldn't hurt the shadow, he was familiar with most of the tricks and abilities of a shadow, thanks spending so much time with Shikamaru. Although Moria used his shadow masterfully, it moved somewhat independently, thus it could be taken by surprise, Naruto realized. The lava clone was the surprise. Naruto undid his transformation and created a Rasengan in his right hand and added wind chakra to it. Hey, green guy. I'll take care of the shadow, go after the original. He said. You got it. Zoro readied his 3 swords. Wind style. Rasengan flash. Naruto opened a small hole in the shell of his Rasengan and fired it as a drilling beam. The beam hit the target in the chest and the wind around it dispersed the shadow in hundreds of fragments. By now Zoro had prepared his own attack, he held his 2 swords at a cross angle with each other and began to rotate them in front of him at very high speeds, 3-sword style. Ultimate technique 3000 worlds. In a blink of an eye Zoro charged and ran past Moria. The warlord had no time to get out of the way, nor did he have his shadow ready in time to switch places. The 3 blades struck him at once in the chest and Moria collapsed on the ground. Straw Hats waited for Moria to get up, a second passed, then 2, 3, however it looked like Moria was down for good and they breathed a sigh of relief. We beat Moria. Super. Frankie posed with his hands in the air. Usopp sat down on the rubble of mansion, Woo, it's finally over. I defeated a warlord of the sea. Where are Luffy and the others? Robin asked. Zoro removed the sword from his mouth, speak of the devil. He gestured towards the partially collapsed building. Sure enough Luffy was running towards them with Nami and Sanji and a horde of other people. Hey Zoro, everyone. You got our shadows back. Luffy was running towards his crewmates at full speed with a big smile on his face. Robin-chan. Thank God you're alright. Sanji ran towards Robin with hearts in his eyes. Naruto watched from the sidelines as they greeted each other. They looked like a lively bunch. Their captain seemed to care a lot about his crew, although Sanji and Zoro insulted each other right in front of him, he doubted they hated each other. Even criminals care about their own, he thought, not for the first time. As they were busy talking about what they had been doing so far, Naruto's attention was drawn to the top of the building behind him. There, a big man was standing, watching them all. A small cap with 2 small ears on his long curly hair, his black shirt had a white target-like design. He was staring right at the people on the ground. And a moment later, he vanished from eyesight. Who the hell was that? Naruto thought to himself. He brushed the thought from his mind for now but remained alert. He approached Nico Robin who was standing with her friends. Hey, do you have a moment? What is it? It was Nami who replied, so turned his head towards her. I know you guys went to the Sky Island, people there told me Nico Robin can read the writings of the ruins, can you read some for me? He asked them directly. He didn't have time to beat around the bush, neither did he want to linger there for long. His thoughts went to the girl on his ship, his clone hadn't dispelled yet so nothing noteworthy should have happened there. Urban, he wants to talk to you about boring stuff, Nami said to her friend who came forward and stood in front of him. Everyone else just resumed their victory celebrations and by the sounds of it, they were planning to throw a party. Why are you interested in ruins of Sky Island? She asked. It's a bit hard to explain, he scratched the back of his head, let's say it's very important that I know if there's a legend of a goddess that came to Earth from the stars or a tree of godly powers. Robin stared at him for a good few seconds, like she was looking directly in his soul. It made him blush a little, no. She answered finally, there's no mention of a goddess on Skypia. Neither is there a legend of something like that anywhere in the world that I'm aware of. But there are 2 trees in the world that are spoken of like legends. Really? Naruto asked. There's the Jewel Tree Adam and Sunlight Tree Eve, these 2 trees are given an almost mythical status by people because of their properties, and there's also the Sabati archipelago made completely out of trees. Robin was surprised to see someone interested in the history and mythology of the world, so far she had never met anyone else who cared about the past, she couldn't gauge his motive though, the things he wanted to know were so specific, but at the same time, so random. Adam Tree and Eve Tree, huh? There's one more favor I need, he took out a scroll that had ink prints of some of the writings from the Sky Island, he'd kept a couple of them with him, instead sending all of them back home, just in case. He unfurled a long scroll, can you tell me what it says? Robin looked at the scroll, but before she could say anything, he was interrupted by her captain. Hey. Blonde guy, Naruto looked over at the pirates, it was Straw Hat Luffy who had called him. Luffy stopped in front of him, Zoro says you got my shadow back, thanks. Stay a bit longer, we're throwing a party. He grinned like a child. Luffy wasn't finished yet, you can take some of our treasure as a thank you, we found lots and lots on this ship. Before Naruto could answer though, Nami punched Luffy so hard he fell face first on the ground and got a splendid bump on his head. "Don't give away my treasure to random people," she yelled at him. "I'm sorry, he didn't mean that. Thank you for helping us though." She smiled nervously at him and offered her hand. Naruto shook it, smiling at her all the time. "Relax, I don't want your treasure anyway." Nami looked relieved. She was about to go back to where Zoro and Sanji were when Naruto stopped her. "I said I don't want your treasure, but can you at least give me back my Gama-chan please?" He smiled sweetly at her. Nami let out a eep and blushed red at being caught red-handed like that. Well, she couldn't find anything to say in self-defense and gave back the frog-shaped wallet, avoiding eye contact all the time. Naruto chuckled, "You're good, but not good enough to steal from me. Besides, there's nothing worth stealing in there." "What? Really?" "It looked full of money." Nami exclaimed in surprise, forgetting her embarrassed from a moment ago. "Hey Brook. Over here." Luffy yelled, interrupting their conversation. Naruto turned his head to see who Luffy was talking to. There was that skeleton one of his clones found in the kitchen a while ago. It was getting attacked by other zombies of the mansion, so Naruto doubted he was with them, which turned out to be true when the skeleton explained his situation. Robin turned to face Naruto. "What do you want me to read?" she asked. "Not so fast, Robin." It was Nami again. "It sounds like you need help of our brilliant archaeologist," she said with a grin. Yeah, kind of," Naruto said. "Then it's gonna cost you 10 million berries." Nami put a hand around Robin's shoulders. "Take it or leave it. You're never gonna change, are you?" Usopp asked from the sides. "Fine, I'll give you 10 million berries, will you help me now?" "Hey guys. Put up a table here, quick." Nami ordered some of the pirates that came with Luffy and her. Nearby, some of the pirates ran to get food, some prepared a makeshift kitchen, some carried barrels of booze to the clearing. The skeleton had brought a piano from somewhere, and the party began. Delicious smell enriched the atmosphere, and everyone was dancing to the tune of Bink's Brew for a Skeleton. Brook could sing, Naruto had to admit. Food was delicious too, borderline Ichiraku ramen good. "Let me see the scroll." Robin extended her hand once they some food in their belly. Naruto gave her the scroll. Robin opened it, her eyes traced the strange letters for a couple of seconds until she finally spoke. "Harvest this year has been plentiful. Aside from a small flu, Shandora didn't face any troubles. We pray next year will be even better." Robin and her crewmates looked at him to see his reaction. Naruto was just looking blankly at her. After a tense couple of seconds that felt like minutes he spoke. "Look, I know you don't owe me anything, but at least don't lie to my face like that. If you don't want to help me, say so." Naruto huffed. This caught Robin by surprise. She didn't show any sign on her face that she was lying, she was that good at it. But still the guy could tell that she was lying. Of course she wasn't telling him the truth. The ink print was of the second last line of the poneglyph of Shandora. It specifically talked about location of Poseidon. She would never give away information about an ancient weapon to anyone. She didn't give it to Crocodile in Alabasta, despite knowing that he would have probably killed her for it, and she wouldn't give it away now. "It's not easy to tell the truth to a complete stranger, you know. Why do you even want to know about this anyway?" she said instead. "What's written there that she won't talk about it?" he wondered. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto," he introduced himself. "There, now I'm not a complete stranger, you know my name. Now can you tell me what the writings say?" "You left out the Y." It was Nami who pointed it out. Naruto let out a sigh. He needed their help. She was only one who could read as far as he knew. He couldn't just pass up an opportunity like this, so he obliged. "I heard this legend about a clan of godlike beings that go from planet to planet to absorb the life from every living creature there, killing the planet in the process. I want to know if it's true," he explained without giving away too much. Nami and Usopp shivered after hearing what he said. Zoro went back to drinking, but Robin just looked at him passively. She now realized why he asked about a goddess that came from sky earlier. "I'm sorry I lied earlier, the scroll actually gives the location of Fishman Island. But it doesn't mention any beings like that. There's not even a myth like that in any of the cultures around the world that I know of." She left out the part about Poseidon, but rest was true. She didn't know if Naruto could tell though. Naruto sighed in relief. At last she was telling the truth, partially but truth nonetheless. He got his next lead. He'd have to pay a visit to Fishman Island next and see what secret it had hidden. Thanks a lot. He was relieved to hear that there was no mention of the Otsutsuki, but he still had long way to go to complete his mission. "You know, if I find another city like Shandora, I might need your help again. Is there any way I can contact you?" Nami did call her an archaeologist earlier, so it was a safe bet she'd be able to help him if he found something like this again. "We have a transponder snail on our ship," Robin answered. "You can give me a call." They both exchanged frequencies of each other's transponder snails. "There, I'll call you if I need your help, alright." Robin nodded. "Great." Naruto smiled. Today he felt like he took a step towards completing his mission. There was no mention of something like the Otsutsuki, which was good. He had 4 places to check out next: Sabati Archipelago, Sunlight Tree Eve, Jewel Tree Atom and Fishman Island. I'll see you soon. Naruto smiled at Robin and barely took a step to be on his way when out of nowhere, Nami stood in front of him. Did she use a body flicker? Hands on her hips, Nami stood in front of him and narrowed her eyes. Aren't you forgetting something, mister? She asked. What? Oh yeah, the money. I completely forgot about that. Naruto laughed a little. Nami didn't join him in that though, so he quickly pulled out another scroll. He unrolled it and channeled some chakra in the storage matrix. In a puff of smoke about 30 million berries appeared in front of him. He sealed away 2/3 of the amount again and offered his hand for a handshake. It's a pleasure doing business with you. He smiled at the cat burglar. Nami took his hand in her own for a brief second. She noticed the bandages wrapped around his hand. You know, if you have an injury, Chopper can fix you up in no time. She said as she smiled at him. For a fee, of course. He had a ghost of a smile on his lips now. Never mind that, I'll see you soon. He said, but before he could activate his body flicker, rest of the Straw Hats, Zoro, Chopper, Usopp, Frankie, Robin and Luffy surrounded him. Luffy was grinning so much his eyes were upside down. Did you just take the money out of the scroll? Zoro, Chopper, Usopp, Frankie and Luffy said one after another, smiling weirdly at him. Naruto took half a step backwards. Yeah. He said. Then you must be a ninja. Luffy, Usopp and Frankie yelled in unison. Yes, I am. Naruto replied and immediately wondered if he did the right thing or not. Of course it wasn't an undercover mission or anything like that, and revealing his status as ninja wouldn't be a problem for his mission. Besides, not like he knew that these people knew about ninjas. So far he's been spamming "it's a devil fruit" ability as an explanation for everything he did if anyone asked. Woohoo. Luffy jumped in the air as soon as Naruto confirmed that he was a ninja. Hey everyone. Come here, this guy's a ninja. The remaining people who were drinking and eating nearby hurried towards them, including Brook and Sanji. Throw some shuriken for us. Meditate under a waterfall. Show us earth jutsu. Show me a water jutsu. The clone jutsu for me. Usopp, Zoro, Chopper, Frankie and Luffy practically demanded one after another. Naruto had a sweat drop on his head, eagerness practically oozed out of everyone there. This wasn't his first time receiving requests like this. From time to time, someone who had never met a real ninja before would come to hire them and they'd then make all sorts of requests. Do this and do that. By the time you were Chunin, you would get used to meeting people like that. On top of that, for the last 2 years he'd been teaching at the Ninja Academy from time to time, so he had plenty of experience with situations like this, where a bunch of people would demand to see a particular skill. The Rasengan was particularly famous among the academy students. I'd love to show you some jutsu, but I really have to get going. Naruto said but immediately regretted. Everyone there looked like a bunch of children who were denied ice cream or younger him when Tuchir Am would get sick and Ichiraku Ramen would be closed. Naruto let out a sigh. Alright fine, make some space, he said, and everyone's frowns turned into smiles and they hurried to make space for him to perform his jutsu. They stood on either side of him, waiting eagerly for him to start. Naruto cracked his knuckles and went through the hand signs. Tiger, hare, boar, dog, ox, snake. Earth style. Mud wall. He slammed his right hand on the ground and a 10 feet tall and 2 feet thick wall of earth rose out of the ground about 10 meters away from him, complete with a small Uzumaki swirl in the middle of it. Awesome. Naruto heard someone yell, their cheers were deafening. Next, Naruto took out a shuriken from the holster and tagged it with decent amount of chakra. Everyone got so silent to see what he would do next, he could hear rustling of leaves. He threw the shuriken at the mud wall. Ox, dog, dragon, rat, dog, boar, snake, tiger. Ninja art. Shuriken shadow clone jutsu. The one shuriken became 100 and hit the wall to form a rough likeness of his own face. That's so cool. He heard Luffy's voice above everyone else's cheers as the pirates applauded him again. Naruto too smiled a little. And now to finish it, he put a half-ram sign near his chest, shadow clone jutsu. In puffs of white smoke, 10 more exact copies of him appeared. Luffy ran directly towards him at full speed and touched every clone if they were real, guys. They are solid clones. He yelled to his friends. The remaining Straw Hats ran at the clones and did the same, even Nami and Robin were looking at the clone from every angle. Amazing. Nami said as she took the red coat in her hands, it looks and feels like real silk. That's because it is real silk. I'm not a clone, Naruto said to her. Nami let the cape go at once like it was made of fire. Just a moment ago, she was touching his face and checking his abs, thinking it was a clone and how real it felt. Thinking about it made her blush red, then it made her angry that he let her do all those things without even telling her that he was the real one. Why didn't you tell me before? I look like a fool now. She yelled at him. It just made him and everyone around him laugh out. Nami was totally checking out the ninja. Usopp and Frankie were laughing so hard they had tears in his eyes. Which of course earned them a punch each from Nami. Hey ninja. Join my crew. Luffy said to the clone he had his arms wrapped around. Naruto mentally dispelled the clones, thanks for the offer, but I have to go home as soon as possible. But I want you to come with us. Luffy said. You idiot Luffy, don't be like that, he says he has to go home. Zoro had his one hand on his captain's shoulder. But I. No buts Luffy. Nami told her captain. By the way, where are you from? She asked. I'm from the Hidden Leaf Village. Naruto smiled and pointed at his headband with his thumb. That's so cool. Luffy, Usopp and Chopper had stars in their eyes at the mention of a hidden village. I never heard of a place like that before, Robin rested her chin on her index finger. Of course you didn't. It's really well hidden, Naruto chuckled. Now I have to get going. But before I go, hey Miss Cat Burglar, Naruto walked over to her and picked up a small rock that was at her feet. What is it? Nami said with a little edge to her voice. She wasn't completely over the incident from earlier. Naruto stretched him hand, watch this, he channeled chakra into the stone, there was a small puff of white smoke. When it cleared, instead of a stone, Naruto had a bundle of berries in his hand, pretty cool right? He grinned at her. Awesome. That's my kinda jutsu. Nami said in amazement, then she realized something, wait. Don't tell me the money you gave me earlier were stones. No, that was real money. Naruto dropped the transformation jutsu of the stone. Oh, thank God. Nami said in relief. Well, it's been fun, but now I gotta go. I'll need your help again Robin. I'll call you guys, Naruto said and vanished in a body flicker. You were really friendly with those pirates, Kurama said once they were away from the crowd and in the dead forest. I need their help, Kurama. Didn't you hear what that guy in the Sky Island told us? That woman is the only person that can read that accursed language. Besides, they didn't seem like the pirates we met so far. They seemed like decent people in bad profession, even you didn't warn me or anything when I was with them. Truth was Naruto's gut told him that they weren't bad people, over the years he'd learned to trust his gut instincts more and more. World wasn't so black and white, he and Kurama knew that better than anyone. That's because I trust you, but yeah they had no ill intent towards you, he replied, if they did, then they wouldn't be alive, if Kurama had any say in it. Oh I'm flattered that you believe in me, Kurama. Naruto laughed. Shut up. Kurama glared at him, don't wake me up for at least a week. He said and closed his eyes. Okay, I'm sorry. I won't talk like that again. Naruto tried to apologize, but Kurama didn't reply. By now Naruto was near his ship, he jumped on the deck and went inside past the captain's cabin and directly in the room where Peach was treating that girl. He knocked and opened the door. In the bedroom, there were a lot of herbs on the table by the side of bed. Peach was busy making medicine and the girl was sound asleep. Hey Peach. He announced himself. The toad stopped working for a moment and turned to look at her summoner boss. How's she? He asked as he made his way towards the girl. There were fresh bandages wrapped around her head and a wet cloth on her forehead. Naruto touched her cheek with the back of his hand, she still had fever and it had gone down a bit while he was away. She's recovering quite fast, but it'll take some time for her to regain consciousness. She was in really bad condition when I got here, if you had summoned me a few hours late, she wouldn't have made it, Peach resumed making more medicine. If you need anything, tell me okay? You got it boss. He sat in the chair at the far side of the room and opened a scroll that had the maps of all the seas. He picked one for the East Blue and stretched it in his hands. He was looking for the trees, Adam and Eve. He looked for them in the East Blue, then in West Blue and searched in South and North as well, but didn't find any mention of those trees, then finally he read the map of Grand Line. There he found what he was looking for, Sunlight Tree Eve was on top of the red line, in the middle of Holy Land of Marigua, and just a little distance away from it was the Sabati Archipelago, Adam Tree he found in the New World. Archipelago is the closest, guess I have to make a final stop before Marineford, Naruto stored away the maps. Call for me if she wakes up, Naruto told Peach as he got up from his chair. You got it, boss, Peach said without even looking at him. Naruto created two shadow clones, one was left in the room, the other went to get the ship moving, while the original went to get some sleep. Chapter 3 Sabati Archipelago. The sun had hidden beyond the horizon, and its last few rays of the day painted the western sky in various shades of orange, pink and violet, the sea was relatively calm, gently rocking a certain ship with a demon's face. Cool sea breeze danced with the sails. Despite this pleasant atmosphere, Naruto was in the captain's cabin, leaned back in the chair, feet on the table besides various scrolls, a small diary on his chest and eyes closed. It had just been couple of hours since he'd been able to relax in the last few days, the whole of last night and much of today was spent making sure that the ship remained afloat. Shadow clones were very useful, and normally he'd leave them to the job while he took care of other matters or rested a little. But if there was any drawback to the almost flawless technique, if you could even call it a drawback, it was that you had to at least be aware of a clone in order to maintain it. Sleep makes you lose your mental connection to the clone, thus dispelling it. He didn't like using elemental clones very much. And so Naruto had to be awake for almost 2 days straight and battle the sea constantly without rest, in other words, the usual mission drill for a shinobi. He had encountered snake-like currents, huge fish and massive sea kings practically back-to-back since he left the Florian Triangle. It was difficult sailing the ship safely through those situations, on top of that he had to make sure the Riti didn't get thrown out of the bed due to the constant rocking of the ship. The girl had woken up the next afternoon after the Florian Triangle. Peach's treatment combined with him sharing some of his chakra with her at fixed intervals had worked wonders. The fever had vanished the next morning and the shared chakra had recovered the strength she lost. Now, 6 days later she was good as new. The girl was hysterical when she first woke up. It was a reaction Naruto had expected since she had lost their whole crew. Naruto stayed by her side and let her wail and scream and cry until her tears dried up. Then he transferred some more of his chakra in her and let her sleep. She next woke up 6 hours later in much better condition. She was still in a bad state mentally, but at least he was able to convince her to eat something. He had to take out his limited edition ramen, for that since he had little skill in cooking, he could roast and fry meat and fish, but he was far from a cook. After that the girl had told him what happened to her. Apparently she and her crew had gotten in a fight with fire tank pirates and got totally annihilated. Desire, as the girl had introduced herself, was a speed racer from East Blue. She had come to Grand Line to buy some new weapons. Her speedboats had taken them this far in the Grand Line in just 2 weeks, only to get their crew annihilated at the hands of fire tank pirates. That was basically all the information Naruto got out of her. She was still mourning, so he let her be for the time being. Even after 2 days of constantly working, Naruto could not afford to sleep soundly. He needed to be able to get up quickly if something happened. Grand Line was messed up like that, from sudden turbulent currents to sea kings, you could never tell when the next trouble would hit. Naruto, being the sensor that he was, could detect sea kings approaching and take a relatively safer route, which avoided a lot of pointless fighting on his part. He thanked Pervy Sage again in his mind, among many other things. Jiraiya had taught him how to sleep light and be ready to fight at any moment. It was a pain when he was actually training. Jiraiya would wake him at random time in the night for a spar and still expected him to be ready to move out at the crack of dawn. It's something every ninja should be able to do, he'd say. Not that Naruto ever complained, he was ready to do anything to get stronger. And it certainly paid off. He had learned to take rests whenever he could afford between a mission. And it was really handy when on the unpredictable Grand Line. Like now, Naruto felt a particularly massive sea king about a mile below the sea level. He continued to rest, the beast wasn't coming up so he didn't need to get up. Desire was manning the helm to keep the ship on course, so he had no concern about that either. 4 more hours later, Naruto woke up having rested sufficiently. He rubbed the sleep from his eyes and stepped out of the cabin. Desire was still at the helm, she had her eyes on the horizon and her back to him. She was wearing one of his white t-shirt and red shorts with white hearts on them. She was roughly the same height as him so his clothes fit her pretty comfortably. Naruto descended the stairs to arrive on the deck. "Hey Desire," he said. The girl looked over her shoulder at him, she seemed to be in much better condition now, she even had a small smile on her lips. In past 6 days she seemed to have had come to terms with the fact that her crew was dead and was coping relatively well. "Come inside, I'm making dinner." He waved his hand. "Who's gonna keep the ship on track then?" She yelled back over her shoulder. Naruto created a shadow clone, "Come on," he said and headed for the kitchen. The clone went to take Desire's place. He filled a kettle with water and put it to boil while he took out 2 cups of ramen from the pantry. He heard the door open when Desire entered and took a chair at the dining table. Naruto put the cups on the table and poured the boiling water in them. Now came the part he hated the most, waiting 3 minutes for the ramen to be cooked. "You know, I've seen them a lot in these last few days, but they still amaze me," Desire said as she pulled up a chair. Naruto just chuckled, "You should have seen me when I first got that ability. I would find any excuse to use them." "Yeah, most devil fruit users are like that." Naruto didn't correct her, instead he put 1 cup in front of the lady. He decided now was the time to ask her the question that was bugging him for a while now. He had given her enough time to mourn and recover. "Hey Desire," he said to get her attention. "What is it?" Desire stopped playing with the chopsticks to look at him. "Why were you buying weapons?" he asked. She told him she was a speed racer in East Blue, so it didn't really fit that she'd be this far in the Grand Line to buy weapons. Why would a speed racer even need weapons? "I was doing it as a favor for my friend, he runs the mafia on our island," she told him. "Mafia? Are you a criminal?" The girl didn't seem like a bad person, he'd have never guessed she had connections with the mafia. Plus it was pretty bold of her to just tell him she was helping mafia. On the other hand, she might have some reason for doing what she did, so he decided to hear her out before coming to conclusion. Not yet. She smiled at him. Which explained nothing and just confused him instead. Seeing as Naruto was waiting for her to continue, she did, I mean, the Navy didn't put a bounty on me or anything. I just do some delivery of weapons and stuff from time to time. What about the mafia? Bartholomew keeps out the pirates, for a price. The Navy doesn't have a base that far in East Blue, so we have to protect ourselves. She took the cup in her hands and started eating. Naruto did the same. After a couple of bites of eating in silence, Naruto continued the conversation. So you guys became criminals to stop criminals. There was a lot wrong in that logic, why did they have to call themselves mafia? They could have protected themselves without labeling themselves as criminals, he thought. Desire laughed a little in the middle of swallowing the noodles because, my dear savior, the pirates don't fear normal people defending themselves. You call yourself mafia, build some underground connections, and the pirates stay the hell away from your home. I guess that makes sense, Naruto said in a low tone. Doesn't Navy know of your situation? Wouldn't they help you if you explained your problem? He asked. Desire chuckled, oh, the Navy knows of our situation alright. But they have their own profits to make. Who do you think was selling the weapons? It was a Navy Commodore. A Navy captain has deep connections with the mafia and pirates from our region as well. He reports to his superiors that everything is nice and quiet and takes bribes from practically every outlaw in the sector. I guess there are a few bad apples in every organization, Naruto said as he finished his meal. Even in Konoha, not everyone was a good person. He knew a certain Danzo came to his mind. What are you going to do next? He asked. I was going to set out to the sea with my friend, but that stupid Bartholomew has become obsessed with the Straw Hats and doesn't want to come with me anymore, so that's out, she huffed. You were gonna become pirate with your friend. Naruto raised an eyebrow at her. Yeah, we sort of promised that we'd find the One Piece together, but I guess a promise to a friend doesn't mean anything to that traitor. She grit her teeth. First thing Naruto realized from the way she spoke that she was really angry at her friend. And second, One Piece must one hell of a treasure to get so many people to set to sea in search of it. So becoming a pirate is out then? Naruto asked as he got up from the chair and headed to the deck. Desire followed him outside. I don't know where to go from here, she said honestly. Losing so many of your comrades would do that to you, he thought in his mind and smiled apologetically at her. Desire looked at him to see a smile full of understanding. She somehow felt comfortable around him, so much so that she even shared her dreams and ambitions with him. She even told him about her connections to the mafia. Normally she'd never do that, she realized. Sure, she owed him for saving her life, but it was a bit out of character for her to open up to anyone, but this guy somehow seemed trustworthy. He gave off this aura that he was someone who would understand you. She wouldn't have minded being around someone like that. This was a pirate ship and he didn't seem to have a crew. If he asked, she'd join him, she decided. I'm going to Marineford, you can come with me if you want, his voice brought her out of her thoughts. What? Her eyes widened a little. I thought you were a pirate. She said in disbelief. Naruto just laughed. The Jolly Roger on the sails is kinda misleading I suppose. He said. This ship belonged to a pirate named Urauge. He was captured by the Marines and I got the ship. He grinned. Desire didn't particularly like the Navy. Her previous encounters with Marine officers did not paint them in good light. She saw them as criminals with justice coats, that's it. But Naruto seemed like a good person. If he thought it was a worthy organization to serve under, then it couldn't have been that bad. She'd to go to the Sabati archipelago for her original mission anyway, she thought to herself. I'll think about it, she said finally. Was she willing to follow him in joining the Marines just because he saved her life? Desire wondered to herself. At this point even she didn't know what she'd do. Naruto smiled his usual warm smile at her. Why don't you go and rest, you've been at the helm for a while. I'll take it from here, we're near Sabati anyway. It's a beautiful evening, I'd like to stay out here for a bit, she said looking at the horizon. Naruto was standing on the demon's head when the ship entered a port of Sabati, waiting eagerly to take a close look at the archipelago. Desire was at the helm again, steering the ship to a good spot where they could anchor. She'd been there lots of times, she had told him, so she knew her way around the archipelago. The sails of his ship were rolled up, Naruto relying on water release again to avoid pointless confrontation with the Marines, just in case they spotted the Jolly Roger on the sails. As they got closer, Naruto got a clear view of the enormous trees. Thanks to the many streetlights that illuminated the trees, he had to look directly upwards at the night sky to see the top of the tree. The tree had part of their roots exposed above the sea level. The striped trunk and roots of the tree were covered in moss at various places. The route near which Desire stopped their ship was almost 5 times as wide as their ship. Naruto watched in awe as many bubbles seemingly came out of the roots and trunk of the tree, reflecting the light from the nearby lamps in hundreds of different shades. It was a really beautiful scene in front of his eyes, but the only thought going through his mind was, this is not it. Naruto was disappointed and relieved at the same time, it didn't even resemble anything like a chakra tree. He jumped down from the figurehead. Despite its impressive size and cool bubbles, they were just bunch of ordinary trees, that much he could tell from just a glance. There were a few people dressed in similar clothes to each other atop the route. As soon as their ship was anchored they approached and boarded the ship. Naruto didn't know what they were doing. Desire stood a step behind him and put a hand on his shoulder. They work for a hotel here, this is Hotel District of Sabati, she said in his ear. Naruto nodded. The man stood on the deck smiling from ear to ear. Good evening sir, the scrawny man in front with wimpy mustache said. Do you need any assistance finding a place to stay for the night? He asked. Yeah sure, Naruto replied. He wouldn't mind having a nice place to spend the night, to him it felt like ages since he slept on solid land. This was only his second time spending this long on the open sea. Excellent, please come with me. The men will take care of your ship, have no worry about that. The man said. Naruto didn't worry about the ship, it wasn't his to worry about. Besides, all of his stuff was safely stored in sealing scrolls. Naruto and Desire followed the man on the archipelago proper. The huge tree in the middle of the district read GR72, in front it had a large building with Paradise Hotel written in neon lights, and many other spherical rooms wrapped around its trunk in a spiral. Besides that, most other buildings had spherical shape. There were many pillars with multiple metal wires connecting each of them which had more of those spherical rooms. The road they were walking on had a lot of junk food and ice cream stalls, some kids were riding bikes that were attached to bubbles, people were carrying the stuff they purchased in bubbles, everywhere he looked bubbles were being used in most unusual and creative way for day-to-day activities. People really like bubbles here, don't they? He said out loud as he watched a few children trying to outspeed each other on their bubble bikes. Why yes. The bubbles of Urukiman Mangrove are really useful. The wimpy mustache man replied with his same smile. Even buildings are made out of bubbles here. That surprised Naruto a bit, really. I thought people here just really like spherical design for buildings. No, it's just convenient. You take a bubble, coat it with some sturdy metal and voila you have a room. The man explained. Sounds amazing, they had neared the tree by now. They passed the entrance gate and headed in the main building of the hotel. A pretty brunette receptionist greeted them with a warm smile. Welcome to Hotel Paradise. How may I help you sir? She said in a cheerful voice. Give us 2 of your best rooms for the night please, Naruto returned her smile. Of course, the receptionist handed him a pad. Please, fill up your information while I get the keys, she said as she got up from her chair. Naruto filled up the bare minimum amount of information on the form, he wrote his name, in place of his hometown, he wrote the first island that popped in his head Banro Island, and that was it. He paid the cash, and Gama-chan got significantly lighter. The same man that escorted them here led them up the stairs on the 4th floor to their rooms. Naruto's room was right next to Desire's. You want to go out to eat? Desire asked just as she and Naruto were about to go in their own rooms. Naruto put his chin on his index finger. I did eat only 1 ramen cup, he thought out loud. He turned to look at her and smiled. Why not, let me take a quick shower and we'll go out. Naruto said and entered his room, completely oblivious to a blushing Desire at his offhanded mention of going out. Desire shook her head and entered her own room. He didn't mean it that way. The room was very luxurious, stacked with expensive-looking furniture, weird paintings of random things and delicate decorations all over the place. There were magazines stacked in a neat pile on the table in the living room, the one on top read Grand Line Glamour, with a picture of a very hot blonde in a seductive pose. New material for sexy jutsu. Naruto cheered in his mind. You're never gonna grow out of that jutsu, are you? He heard Kurama say in his mind. Hey. In my defense, it let me punch a goddess in the face. Kurama snorted, face it Naruto, you're just as big a pervert as your sensei. You just hide it better. I'm not. What are you talking about, Kakashi sensei or pervy sage? Both. Kurama replied immediately. Come on, I'm not that bad. Naruto defended himself in weak voice which only weakened his point. Really? Then tell me, how old were you when you developed that jutsu? Well I was, Naruto trailed off. What was that? I didn't hear you, and I'm in your psyche plane. Fine. You made your point, you jerk. Naruto pouted, which just made Kurama chuckle. Naruto had developed the sexy jutsu when he was 8 after reading a lot of stolen adult magazines and watching a lot of Kunoichi bathing in the waterfall, where he used train alone nearby. Female form had a power over men, even his younger self realized that quickly. He was a kid, he did what fascinated him, and seeing as there was no one to tell him against it, he kept doing it. After ending the conversation, Naruto removed his clothes and went straight in the bathroom. It took a while even for the pleasant hot water to remove the saltiness from his hair and skin. Just as he turned off the shower, he heard a knock on the door. It must be Desire, he thought. It surprised him a little that she got ready this quickly. Naruto wrapped a towel around his waist and opened the door. "Hey Desire. What's up?" Naruto grinned at the young lady. Water from the shower was still dripping from his body. She took a moment to speak as her eyes took in his half-naked form. "You forgot to give me some clothes, I'm not going out in this." She pointed at herself. She was still wearing the white t-shirt and red shorts with white hearts. "Oh sorry," Naruto scratched the back of his head with his right hand. "Come on in, I think I left the clothes in the bedroom," he said and stepped aside to let her in. Desire's eyes didn't miss his right arm, she saw it was pale almost white, unlike the rest of his body. Naturally, curiosity got the better of her. "Hey Naruto," she said as she followed him inside. "What is it?" Naruto replied as he fished the pocket of his clothes for the ceiling scroll that had his clothes. "What happened to your arm?" she asked in a low voice in case it was a sensitive subject. "Oh this? It's a prosthetic arm," Naruto replied and unconsciously touched his right arm with his left. "Prosthetic?" Desire's voice couldn't hide her surprise. "But it looks so real," she said and grabbed his right to take a closer look. Which made Naruto chuckle. "It was made especially for me, trust me it's better than the original I lost." The arm was made out of Lord First's DNA, Granny Tsunade told him that he could theoretically use wood release with it, Naruto never tried it. He already had more Kekai Genkai than anyone else in the shinobi world. Naruto finally found the scroll among the many he had in his possession. He unsealed a pile of clothes that were mostly orange with some white and black here and there. Desire chose a white shirt with a Uzumaki spiral on the chest and black pants. "I'll meet you downstairs in an hour," Naruto said to Desire who was still staring at his right arm. His words brought her out of her thoughts, whatever they were. "Oh yeah of course," she said with a sheepish smile, and left him alone. Naruto took some fresh bandages and wrapped them around his prosthetic arm. He chose a black shirt, black pants and an orange hoodie. Naruto walked back in the living room and slumped down on the fluffy couch. He picked up that magazine from before and started reading it. Every page was filled with erotic photos of beautiful women. Naruto memorized them down to the last detail. No matter what anyone said, sexy jutsu was handy in a pinch. "I can pose like that, no big deal," Naruto said to himself as he put down the magazine. He still had some time before he was supposed to head out. He decided to summon Kasuke while he was waiting. It had been more than a week since he had last summoned the messenger toad. He bit his left thumb. Boar, dog, bird, monkey, ram. After a puff of white smoke cleared, Kasuke was in front of him, grinning from ear to ear. "Hey boss," his summon greeted Naruto. Naruto smiled at his little messenger toad. "Hey Kasuke, you're in a good mood." "Of course, I just ate Ma's special caterpillar rice balls." Naruto remembered Ma's special cooking like it was yesterday. He had to eat a shit ton of high-quality ramen to get the taste of bugs and caterpillar guts out of his mouth when he got back to Konoha. The most terrifying part about eating toad food wasn't that it was horrible, on the contrary, Naruto had started to like it. That's why it freaked him out. It was one thing to be a toad sage, it was another matter entirely to live like an actual toad. "She didn't pack a bento box for me, did she?" Naruto asked, half scared Kasuke might pull out a box full of centipede soup. No. She didn't get the chance, I left in a hurry when you called." "So what's up?" "Oh right, I called you to ask you about the last mission. How did it go?" "I completed the mission successfully in no time boss." Kasuke huffed out his chest. "Lord Six told me to tell you that the crypto analysis division is trying their best to figure out the language and symbols, but so far they didn't have any success. Their luck wasn't that great that Shiho and her team would be able to decipher the language within days," Naruto knew. "That's fine. Anything noteworthy happen in the village?" "No, it's been peaceful. Although Lord Six said that the topic of your mission was brought up in the last 5K summit. Sensei had to inform them of my mission, it does concern all of the shinobi world." Naruto thought out loud. "Anything else?" "No, that's pretty much it, boss." "Alright. You can go home now, Kasuke. Say hi to everyone for me okay?" Naruto said to the Crimson Toad. "You got it." Kasuke saluted and vanished. Desire walked in the bathroom and adjusted the temperature of water to her liking. She stripped her clothes and stepped under the pleasant hot water. To think that a week ago she had accepted, even welcomed death after taking some serious hits in that fateful battle. Desire had never thought she'd ever even open her eyes again, but fate had kept her alive for some reason. When she had awakened, she had wished she hadn't. Death with her friends seemed a lot more preferable than being the only survivor. She mourned them, but deep inside her heart she knew of the dangers of her profession. Her friends knew that as well, they always knew death was possibility. Having someone like Naruto beside you in that time certainly helped. He didn't tell her to let it go or get over it or anything like that, he'd let her grieve in peace. only saying a few comforting words and assuring her that she was safe. He was an enigma to her. Desire knew that Naruto didn't know that much about the world, it was clear to her from just a few conversations with him. It was clear that this was the first time he had left his home island, wherever that was, on top of that he didn't seem to have a crew while sailing the Grand Line. She was surprised and scared for both of their sakes when she found that out, but Desire quickly realized that her fears were unfounded when he showed her his devil fruit ability. A man that can create copies of himself hardly needed a crew, she thought to herself. Plus he had a good heart, anyone else in his position would have demanded something out of her, but aside from asking some basic information about her, he didn't ask for anything. People with good hearts didn't last long on the Grand Line, she came to a morbid realization. She hoped that he was strong enough to at least protect himself. Desire hoped that she could help him at least in some way to repay her debt, but she had her own home to worry about for now. Besides, she could come and find him later, she would repay her debt by helping Naruto in whatever it was he was set out to do. She'd come back to find him later, she decided. Desire was waiting for him at the reception area when he arrived. I know a really good place, it's a little far from here, but the food will be worth it, she said as she fell in beside him. Sounds good, Naruto said as they both came out of the hotel. It was around 9 o'clock and both were hungry, still the scenery was beautiful enough to take their minds off of their hunger. So, you decided yet? Naruto said out of the blue as they passed an ice cream stand. Decide what? She didn't know what he was talking about. Where are you gonna go from here? Naruto looked at her. Oh that? I'm not really sure, I belong in the Navy, plus I need to complete this delivery if my home is to be safe, she said in a soft voice. Naruto was a little disappointed but didn't show it, he would have liked if the girl quit the criminal life and adopted more legal means to fight her problem in her homeland, but he wasn't there to change the world, he was there to make sure that this world along with the shinobi world remained untouched by the Otsutsuki in the future. Suit yourself. Naruto shrugged. Who am I to tell a lady what to do? Wow. Such a gentleman. She batted her eyes in an over-the-top manner, making Naruto laugh out. All you lack is shining armor, sir, she said as she bit her lower lip. It's my pleasure to be of service, miss. Naruto said with a little bow of his head and flourish of his hand. He wasn't very good at flirting. But still Desire smiled a little. The two continued to joke and laugh all the way until they exited the Grove 72. At the start of Grove 73, Naruto spotted a rental bike shop. Say, Desire, he said to get her attention. She replied absently as she was busy observing the people around them. How far is the restaurant? Naruto asked. It's in the next district, in Grove 24. So pretty far. Actually it wasn't far at all for Naruto, he was used to walking to different countries on foot, compared to that this distance was nothing. You can say that, Desire shrugged. Excellent. Let's get a rental bike then. Naruto grabbed her hand and practically dragged her to the bike store. Bubble bikes looked fun, he very rarely had times to do things for fun these days. With all the missions and learning from Kakashi-sensei about how to run the village, he didn't get much time off. And when he was free, his new fangirls would drag him to this shop and that restaurant, and he was too much of a gentleman to say no to anyone. Besides, he liked to hang out with a crowd. But now that he was in a completely different world, where no one knew him, it was like a vacation. As long as he kept working, he could even enjoy a little bit. Slow down, will ya? You're gonna rip my arm off. Desire yelled in his ear. Naruto stopped in front of the store and let go of the lady. Oops, sorry, he smiled sheepishly. Desire just sighed. It's okay. Let's just get the bike. Hey old man. Naruto called out the elderly shop owner. Good evening. How may I help you? The old man had a wrinkled face and head full of gray hair. I need a bubble bike, Naruto grinned like a child, it was fun to do things just for fun. The old man nodded and checked one of his shelves. After about a minute of looking at every bike, he brought out a medium-sized two-seater. There, it should be perfect for you and your girlfriend. The old man said as he grabbed nearby bubble that was easily 6 feet in diameter and attached it to the wooden bike. She's not my Naruto looked at Desire who had taken half a step away from him and was blushing furiously. Seeing that made Naruto laugh out loud and earned a punch from Desire, she's not my girlfriend. Just give me the bike, he said, much to Desire's relief. How much do I owe you? He asked. 500 berry a day for rental, and if you want to buy one I'll give you a discount price of 10,000 berry. The shopkeeper rubbed his hands together. Sure I'll. Rental is fine, Desire cut him off. Trust me, you don't want to buy one of those. Naruto was a little confused but then just shrugged, she was more familiar with the area than him and she must have had a reason to not let him buy that bike, rental it is then. He took out 500 berry from his pocket and gave it to the shopkeeper. Naruto jumped on the bike first, come on, let's go. Desire had an amused smile on her lips after watching his childlike enthusiasm. She too climbed up and sat behind Naruto. The two floated along the street on their new ride. They passed through grove after grove filled with mainly hotel buildings, just like the one they'd rented, until they arrived at Grove 79. To get to the next grove GR25, they had to cross a wooden bridge that connected to both groves. When they were halfway through the bridge, Desire nudged Naruto to get his attention. Naruto looked over his shoulder to see a very serious Desire. Just looking at her he knew it must be something important. What's the matter? This next area is a lawless district where pirates, bounty hunters and human traffickers run wild. Be careful, okay? She said with a lot of concern in her voice. She didn't want to see him get in trouble. Lawless area? I thought Marineford was close by here. With the headquarters of Navy so close, it seemed a little far-fetched to Naruto that any part of this archipelago was lawless. Yeah, the Navy doesn't come this deep in the island, even though they have a base on the archipelago, she explained further. They have a base here? Why didn't you tell me before? I would have gone there the moment we arrived. I swear to God I thought you knew about that. She said in total seriousness, besides, you can still go there tomorrow. Naruto thought about it for a second. Yeah, I'll go there tomorrow. He said finally. Grove 25 was a lot less populated, Naruto observed at a glance. There were no children that he could see, and he could count the ladies on his fingers. Instead, there were a bunch of rough-looking guys walking in groups, none troubled them however. Naruto pretended not to see them, he didn't want beat up anyone without a reason. The same situation was in Grove 24, he even spotted some pirates from his bingo book there. But they minded their business and he let them be. Desire pointed at the end of the street at a big 3-storied restaurant. It looked like an expensive place from just the look of it. There, the fancy building by the ice cream stand. Naruto's eyes followed her finger. How fancy could it be? It's in a lawless district. Naruto wondered to himself. Naruto stopped the bike at the arched entrance of the restaurant and hopped down. Desire followed suit. There was a guy in a suit with a writing pad in his hand at the reception area by the door. He greeted them both with a smile when they entered. Welcome to the Roasted Sea King. He said in a cheerful voice. Hi, we need a table for two please, Naruto said. Of course, right away. Follow me, sir, and they did. The man led them to the other side of room to a table near the window. It was obvious he was trying to seat them as far away from the rough crowd as possible. Naruto noticed Basil Hawkins and his henchmen eating at the other side and also Captain Kid eating with his crew. A word of advice, sir, please don't cross the pirates. The man said in a warning voice as they both sat in their chairs. For the last 2 days now, a lot of big-name pirates are arriving at Sabati. You got it, Naruto said with a smile. Now then, what can I get you? The man said once again in his cheerful voice. Desire and Naruto both accepted the menu from the man's hand and scanned through the pages. I'll have the Sea King steak with some potatoes. Sea King steak for me as well. Naruto said, he never ate it before and wanted to try it for once. What kind of vegetable would you prefer with your steak, sir? The man asked. Why would I want vegetables? Naruto replied in a genuinely confused tone with a frown on his face. He hated all vegetables, no way in hell he was going to order them in a restaurant willingly where he could get literally anything else. His sensei would feed him fresh vegetables once every few weeks or so, with a bribe of extra training. Those were the only times he suffered through the experience of eating vegetables. His tone of speaking almost made Desire spit out her water. The grown man frowning at the mention of vegetables, that's so childish. She thought to herself with a small chuckle. The man went back with their orders, leaving Naruto and Desire alone. Other than the pirates, there were a lot of people there in fancy clothes, mostly merchants who were either going to the New World and coming from there and rich people on vacation. The waiter filled their glasses with fancy expensive wine, and about 20 minutes later their food arrived. This is a fun place. Naruto said as he took the first bite of the steak. Just then a loud laugh of the pirates at other end erupted. You know, if you ignore the lovely pirates. He added. Desire smiled, if you think this is fun, wait till you see the amusement park. She said. There's an amusement park here. Naruto was clearly intrigued, although he tried to hide it as mere curiosity. Desire nodded, we can go there tomorrow if you want. You know, after I finish my business. Yeah, the weapons thing. If I wrap up my business with the Marines quickly, then I'll have plenty of time to explore these trees. Sure, I can show you around later, but in the meantime watch out for the big 3 pirates, bounty hunters and human traffickers and you'll be fine, Desire said as she sipped the wine. Okay, I gotta ask, how many human traffickers are here? This is second time you're warning me since we left the hotel. It wasn't like he wasn't familiar with that business. Back in the elemental nations, some scumbags would band together in a business to kidnap and sell human beings as slaves. It was a messed up place like that, but the instances of that happening were rare and few. He was a little worried that slavery might be legal in this world. A lot. They capture pirates, criminals and people from nations that aren't allied with the world government and sell them as slaves. But that's just what they say though, in reality they capture anyone they can, doesn't matter where you're from and if you're a criminal or not, and you can't plead for justice anywhere. Naruto's mind went blank for a second, so slavery is legal? He asked, dreading the answer. Only on this island. And that too because the celestial dragons are regular customers there, Desire said. Legally, slavery was banned 200 years ago. Naruto made a face like he ate something disgusting. True, he didn't come here to change this world for the better or anything like that, but he wouldn't be Uzumaki Naruto if he let the innocents continue suffering, knowing he could help them. He had decided what he'd be doing after dinner. Plus, every time he heard about those celestial dragons, his perception of them had gotten worse and worse, and it wasn't that good to begin with. The rest of the dinner was consumed in relative silence. Naruto led the way out of the restaurant in a hurry. Desire was a little confused with his sudden change in demeanor, but didn't say anything. Once they were outside, Naruto turned to face Desire. Take me to the place where they sell people. He said in an eerily calm tone which Desire quickly picked up on. She nodded. Desire led him to the Grove number 22, a small building named Human Shop was a little to the side, away from public eyes. Naruto walked in with Desire in tow. It was a relatively small circular building with about 20 small rooms on 2 floors, separated with each other by metal bars and blocked with a glass wall in front. As soon as they entered, a short rat-faced guy with a goatee and a sky hat and a t-shirt that said sell approached them, probably the owner of the slave shop, Naruto guessed. Welcome to my humble establishment, good sir. How may I help you this fine evening? The guy said in an over-the-top manner. Naruto didn't even bother to reply the guy, instead he walked over to the nearest holding cell to his left. There was a dark-haired young girl in it, probably in her early 20s, Naruto guessed. She was wearing very revealing clothes that left little to the imagination, and the way she was trying to cover her exposed body with her arms and legs, Naruto guessed that she wasn't wearing them out of own free will. Her name's Charlie, she is a really good dancer and singer from East Blue. Trust me, you won't be disappointed with her, she'll do anything and everything you ask her to do. The man was standing a step behind him, rubbing his hands together. Naruto looked at the girl, her eyes were puffy and red like she cried a lot, and she looked to be on verge of tears again. Naruto grit his teeth in a barely controlled rage. He moved on to the next cell. This had a scrawny-looking blonde guy that was sitting with his head in his lap. He is Carl, a shipwright from South Blue. Really hard worker, assign him any task and he'll do it. You'd be wise to purchase him. The shopkeeper said with an obnoxious laugh. Naruto stopped in front of each cell. The shopkeeper told him basic information about each of the to-be slaves. There were 4 girls and 4 men, all from East Blue, 2 from the South and 8 pirates from the West Blue. Desire was still at the entrance door, she was looking at him with a worried expression on her face. After he was done checking each cell, Naruto was back in front of the guy's desk, he didn't even ask his name. Open them. He said. Good, I knew you'd have a good eye. The shop owner said with a cheerful voice, oblivious of Naruto's barely controlled anger. Which one? He asked. All of them. Naruto replied plainly. All? Sir? The man asked in a confused tone. Don't make me repeat myself. Naruto had an edge to his voice. Alright, the shopkeeper gulped and hurried to get the keys. One by one, all the cells were opened and the people gathered in front of Naruto. He noticed they still had collars around their necks. The shopkeeper brought a bill in front of him, total of 18 products, each one worth 500,000 berry, since you're buying in bulk that's discount price, that'd be 9 million berries in total. Is this your shop? Or do you run it for someone else? Naruto didn't even act like he heard what the man said. The man puffed his chest at the question, it's mine of course. My father used to run it before me, and his father before him. For generations we provide the finest of slaves for our customers. The man said with a lot of pride. Scumbags to the core, Naruto thought with disgust. It wasn't like it was first time he was seeing the practice of slavery, back home human trafficking was one of the major issues that plagued the elemental nations, people like Gato had made a fortune from kidnapping and selling people. Just because he was in a different world didn't mean he had left his values and personal morals behind. He was fine with putting criminals behind bars for their whole life, or even execute them if no other option was possible, but even criminals didn't deserve a collar around their neck, it was simply unthinkable even for the dark world of shinobi. Naruto made no move to take the bill from his hands, remove their collars. He said. Everyone in front of him widened their eyes and looked at him in disbelief. Excuse me sir. I think I misheard you, I thought you said. You didn't mishear me. I said, remove their collars, Naruto emphasized each word to get his point across. I don't think that's a good idea sir. The collars keep them in line, you see if they attempt to run the collar explodes, same thing if you press this button. The man took out a small remote control to show him. Naruto snatched it from his hands before he could even blink. The man's indignant "hey" went unacknowledged. I said, remove their collars. Naruto leaked his barely controlled bloodlust and focused it on the shopkeeper. The man was sweating and sputtering and scurried to complete his task. He stumbled and fell on his way to get the keys to the collar. When he got back, Naruto snatched the keys from his hands. He began to unlock collar after collar. 4 of the men were really tall, easily 9 to 10 feet. They bent their knees to let him unlock their collars. The people were stunned. They didn't know what to make of their new owner. They had thought that they would spend rest of their lives tied by a chain, working for their masters normally. If their collar was removed, first thing they'd done was run in any direction they could find, as long as it was away from their owners. But some stranger had willingly removed their collars. The act was enough to hold them in their spot to see what was going to happen. They simply didn't know what Naruto was going to do next. Now, we should complete the payment, the shopkeeper was saying, but Naruto cut him off. Now that I bought you all, your first task for me is, tell me what should I do with him. Naruto clapped the shop owner on the shoulder and the man nearly jumped out of his skin. The freed people, not that they were sure that they were freed, had gotten a hard look on their face after hearing the first part of his sentence, but it softened as they heard what he actually said. They were right, he wasn't some sadistic man to take their collars off to put them in something worse. But they didn't know his motives either, which made them a little wary of him. Kill him. Some of them yelled in unison. They were looking the man that had them locked up in a small cell with nothing but pure contempt and absolute loathing. The girls had tears in their eyes and the men actually stepped forward to do the job themselves. Where he heard what Naruto said, the man stumbled and hurried towards a transponder that was on the semicircular desk by the entrance. Naruto made no move to stop him. If he got his partners in crimes to come here, that would just save him the trouble of going after them by himself. You'll regret this. You'll regret messing with me, you hear me? I have powerful allies. I'll have all of you back in chains once again, even you. He pointed a finger at Naruto. I'll make sure you spend the rest of your life as a slave. He screamed as he dialed a number. Naruto was a man of peace. He liked to see the good in people. He believed in second chances and believed that people could change. It didn't mean that he didn't know there were scumbags that the world would be better without. This particular person belonged to the latter category. Not only was he in this business willingly, he seemed to be proud of it. You can bring the people who have lost their way back on the path of good, but those who willingly choose to walk down the road of evil were beyond reason. Hey, Desire, Naruto called out to the girl that was watching the scene unfold from a little distance away from him. Yeah? She answered and moved to stand closer to him. If I hand him over to the world government, would they punish him? He asked her. Nope. When it comes to slavery on Sabati, they become partially deaf. They'd just release him and charge you with obstruction of legal business. She made a face as she said that. Naruto sighed. I wish it didn't come to this, he knew he had no other option. By now, the man had his back to him and was almost finished talking with whoever it was on the other end of the call. In one swift motion of his hand, Naruto threw a shuriken at the base of his skull. The weapon severed the connection of spine to the skull as it remained stuck. Quick and painless, the man was dead in seconds. Most of the almost slaves looked relieved and happy. The 4 girls hugged each other and started crying. The former pirates looked disappointed that they didn't get to kill the man themselves. Follow me, Naruto said as he walked towards the door. When the people were still at the same spot, he stopped, unless you'd rather stay here. That got them moving. Once outside, the blonde one of the 4 girls took his bandaged hand in hers. Thank you, he thought was all she could muster with her shaky voice until she broke down. Watching her cry like that broke his heart. The only crime she might have committed was being in the wrong place, and she was about to pay for it with eternal servitude. Naruto did the first thing that came to his mind. He pulled her close and hugged her protectively. It's okay, you're safe now, was all he said. The girl buried her face in his chest and began crying even louder. After a few minutes, her tears dried up and the fact that they were free once again was settled in their minds. Once Naruto separated himself from the crying girl, he walked closer and stood in front of the band of 8 pirates. You're pirates, aren't you? He looked at the man that was closest to him. Yes, we were. Naruto just tilted his head in confusion, prompting the man to continue. We are done with piracy, the man said. Naruto sensed regret in his voice, not because of his ability to read negative emotions, but because the man's face said so. We did horrible things and hurt many people, for that God punished us, and we almost became slaves. But you saved us from that fate, we will never ever forget this miracle. We won't hurt anyone else ever again. Naruto smiled at the man's answer. That's good to hear, but you understand if I don't let you walk away. What do you mean? The pirate asked. I'll hand you over to the Marines. He wanted to see if what the guy said really meant it. If he hesitated or tried to fight him, he'd know the guy had no intention of sticking to word. But what he heard definitely surprised him. The man he was talking to just chuckled humorlessly. Compared to what we just avoided, prison sounds a lot better. Honestly, I'd rather be locked away than be someone's slave," he said, and his crew nodded to show their support. Hearing that made Naruto smile. He turned towards the shop. If he left it like that, there was high chance someone else would take residence here and start the business all over again. Naruto quickly went through the hand signs and gathered some chakra in the back of his throat. Fire style. Dragon flame bullet. Naruto watched as his favorite fire release jutsu turned the building to ash in front of his eyes. The rest of them were watching the destruction with satisfaction in their eyes. "Follow me," he said as he gestured to get their attention. "Come on, let's take you somewhere safe," Naruto said as he led the way. All 18 of them followed him without a word. XXX. Naruto had gathered them in his room once they had arrived back at the hotel. The girls were sitting on the sofa with Desire, the men had pulled some chairs, and the pirate sat on the ground with Naruto. Everyone was looking at Naruto to see what he would say to them. So far, he had asked to introduce themselves. The girls, Charlie, Lily, Sam and Amy, were from Oika Kingdom in East Blue. They were in a band together with 4 other boys their age. They had come to Sabati to perform at the Sabao Dome. The 2 carpenters, Carl and Bob, were from the south and were headed to Water 7 in search of work before they were kidnapped. The big guy Sean, captain of Midnight Pirates, was from the West Blue. Him and his crew were captured as soon as they entered the Grand Line and brought here to sell. "We can set sail tomorrow, I can take you back to East Blue," Naruto said to the dancers. "We can drop the shipwrights on Water 7 as well." The girls nodded. They were eager to go home after what they experienced, as would anyone. "But you had an important job at Marineford, didn't you?" Desire asked him with a raised eyebrow. "Well yeah, but Marineford isn't going anywhere. I can take a little detour, I think," Naruto said. Desire just shook her head. He was proving to be one of the most selfless people she had ever met. Not many people would go out of their way to help others. He had saved her life, in return at least she could his job easier for him. Someone so kind-hearted doesn't belong on the Grand Line, let alone in the Marine, she thought as she looked at him. "You don't have to do that." Naruto opened his mouth to say something, but Desire cut him off. "I'm from the East Blue, in case you forgot. And I'll be heading home tomorrow anyway, I can take them back," she said. "You sure?" "Yeah. I mean I can't sail the Grand Line on my own, this way we can help each other." "That makes sense." Naruto smiled at her. "Thanks a lot. You can take my ship in that case." Desire nodded and slumped back in the comfy sofa. Naruto turned to Sean and pirates. "There's a base close by here, I'll hand you over to them. Don't cause any troubles in the future," Naruto said to the pirates. "We swear, we won't do anything," Sean said. "That's great." Naruto smiled and created a clone. "He'll escort you there." The pirates didn't look too happy, but followed the clone out anyway. He had memorized their chakra, if they attempted to run they wouldn't get far. Once the pirates were out, the band of 8 artists followed suit and went to the rooms Naruto had rented for them. And now only Desire and he remained. "You know, if you act too generous people will take advantage of you," Desire said with a smile. "You call it generosity, I call it common courtesy. If there's someone who needs help and you have the power to help them, it's only natural that you should help them," he said, still sitting on the floor. "Ah, so wise. I feel like I'm talking to some old man," she teased him. Naruto chuckled. "You didn't say you disagree, did you?" Desire shook her head. "No, I didn't." A couple of seconds of comfortable silence lingered until Naruto broke it. "Are there any more shops like that around here?" Naruto got up from the floor to sit on the other side of sofa. If there were, then his night wasn't over yet. "There is one other in Grove 1, but it operates only once a month," she told him. "Once a month?" "Yeah, rest of the times it's closed," Desire said as she got up. "I hear a lot of big names visit that auction house, kings and queens and rich folk from all over go there apparently." She stifled a yawn. She looked at Naruto to see his normally pretty face scrunched up in what appeared to be deep thinking. "A word of advice, don't try to burn down that one, it's backed up by someone very powerful I hear." Naruto snapped his head up. "Yeah, thanks for the warning. I'll keep that in mind." He smiled a little. "I'll see you around if you stay out of trouble by the time I come back here." Desire left him alone in the living room as she headed for the door. "Nice meeting you," Naruto waved her goodbye with his trademark grin. "We'll meet again sometime, good night Naruto," Desire said as she exited the room. "What are you gonna do?" Kurama said when they were alone once again. "What we usually do in a situation like this," Kurama Naruto replied. "What if Naruto was a sage? One Piece end here and thanks for watching my video till the end.